Hi, everybody. Welcome. This is Lessons for Full Spectrum Humans. I am Aurora, and this is the wrap up and culmination of the 2025.2 semester. So this is the one that began mid-year last year, and we've already done the wonderful extended galactic history explanation. Apologies if I'm moderately distracted because there is unfortunately a very loud power washer directly outside of my window, which is perfectly timed to interfere with our class. I'm glad you guys can't hear it. It is unbearably difficult for me to actually focus with it going on out there. So the notes that I have from 10 years ago in lesson 20 of level 2, the Flying Rainbow Lasagna and beyond, are totally no longer relevant to anything that you are going through. Although it was very, very good expectation or projection into the future based upon where we were in our narrative and in the time field at that time, everything has changed and shifted now. So some of what I talk about in the notes are things like reuniting with galactic civilizations or your stellar family members. And again, very painfully, I don't think that you can expect that. I don't know what you can expect, but I don't think that you can expect that. Also, reconnecting with Christ Consciousness Network. I don't think you can expect that. And I know I'm starting off with some very sour news and not very uplifting here, but you have to be realistic about what you're facing. And that's why I'm like, I never lie or sugarcoat things so that it is more palatable to you. I also have to tell you that you are 5 years off of your development, meaning that you are 5 years late on your developmental markers for where you should be in planetary and personal ascension. It does not mean that you should throw your lives away or give up in despair. It just means that you are very, very late and you are going to have to effort a lot to be able to catch up to where you are supposed to be. If you feel that this is extensive injustice, then I agree with you. But please do not come to me in how I present truthfulness to you. Don't shoot the messenger or direct your anger towards me. Please direct your anger towards we'll just call them horrible fuckface assholes in your world that, of course, are being purged. And also, if you're in this meeting, you guys have to understand, I can't do any, auditory distractions. So just please make sure that you are muted because you guys aren't hearing it right now, but I am hearing it outside. It's very, very difficult outside my window. So just please be aware if you've just come into the meeting, mute yourselves because otherwise it would be difficult for me to focus. Expectations of what your future would be like have to completely be recalibrated. And you might feel anger or disappointment at things that were taken from you or things that have been unjustly delayed. And I agree with those feelings of disappointment. But again, please do not be angry at me because I'm not responsible for it. And I'm efforting in every way that I can to protect your planetary ascension and to give you an opportunity. So you should be mad and should be inflamed. A great deal has been lost. And also, so for me, I have spent the past 5 years in direct confrontation and battle against evil, battle against both the satanics, who are genetically mutilated, inhabitants of your world, and the Luciferian and technology transhumanist aspects of your world. And I think I've made very, very good efforts at being able to destroy the transhumanist agenda and most of its hardware and software, and most of the people who promote and create that hardware and software. Hold on a moment. So I've done a good job at being able to clean up and purge a lot of what has been inhibiting your ascension. A lot of the things that I talk about in the stuff from 10 years ago. And then hold on one moment here. So I would like to bring to you a hopeful message about what is going to happen. I would also like to be truthful and help you to focus on the future. The truth is that you do not know what is going to happen in the future. You still have to, if I sound also very, very angry and inflamed, it's because I am right now, but I'm going to move forward with this meeting anyway. You have to try an effort in order to get to where you want to get to. Okay. And I will try to collect my thoughts and collect my energy because I would like to bring you like a hopeful message about what you have to do. But basically what I'm telling you is you've had a lot of bad things happen to you, a lot of unjust things and things taken from you. Now another person wants to come into the meeting and have to touch technology again. Actually, I don't have to admit people. All right, I'm not touching technology anymore. If you come to the meeting, I don't have to admit you. Okay, good. Please know that. We would like to bring a positive message or give you some hope so that way you can begin to focus on this because the upshoot of what I'm trying to say, have to take personal responsibility. That's not just some kind of a t-shirt slogan. If you were expecting a Jesus savior or a galactic civilization savior to come in and organize your life for you, that is not going to happen. And although like I'm just became, energetically harmed because I had to touch technology and deal with it so much and people are insensitive to that, like how disruptive that is to me. I would like for you to know, like, there's a positive message here because I will not be responsible for you reconstructing your bodies or you reconstructing your lives. This is me, Aurora. So I've been here for a long time fighting as the army of Aurora to both protect this planet and make it possible for you not to die, not to be assimilated into horrible Borg-like slavery, and for some quotient of humanity to remain with your souls intact and with your free will intact, and for you to be, of course, like the wild bees or the non-genetically mutilated aspect of humanity that can carry forward. It is not my intention to reduce your freedom. It is not my intention to be a totalitarian that replaces your current government authority and tell you what to do. That's not my intention at all. In fact, my intention in coming here as Aurora was always to be an inspirer, create art and music, and emit my natural frequency in dance that would inspire you as you're receptive to that in freedom to be the greatest version of what you can be. So it is not my interest or my desire in any way to micromanage your lives and to tell you what you should and shouldn't do. I really would like for each one of you to I'll speak in clear language here, have your shit together and do what is correct. And this is also part of the joy of playing and improvising with other adequate musicians. We don't read from a musical score. Each one of us does generate something from within, and what you generate is good and sounds, innovative and good to the other people. So it's positive when you are an adequate musician in life and you are able to create and generate good events to be able to contribute something that is a surprise to me. Again, so it is not my desire to only emit my own thoughts and have you make no contribution. It is my desire instead to have you each make a contribution into the world. But of course, from what you have seen over 6,000 years of very, very fucked up human history, I am not going to allow the continuation of those negative social and behavior patterns and mental patterns and expectation patterns. I'm not going to allow that. And so I'm not only purging this planet of the people and the behavior patterns that created whatever 6,000 years of Satanism in your world, but also you must clear that stuff out of yourself. And that's not because you are practicing Satanists, but because you have possibly calibrated to that being a foundational normal in your world. So if in the past you're like, yeah, none of this stuff was fair and all this bad stuff is happening, just be like, that is correct. And now it is a new landscape, a new opportunity. You have to recalibrate to a different expectation. So it is definitely, I'm going to be tough talk here today, your job to recalibrate your expectations to a new way of being able to do things, and then to generate the experience that upholds those expectations. I am here in order to create that opportunity for that to happen in you. And although, like, again, I was very annoyed because I had to touch technology, like, that's not my real personality. So when you see me being inflamed because I have to touch and deal with technology, that is not who I really am. I am actually very generous, positive, accommodative, encouraging, enthusiastic, and like a very good mentor, and wanting to create, like I said, again, a positive learning environment, a place where you can feel unself-conscious and do what you would like to do. That is how you make the best music with people. So please understand, let's use my behavior as an example here. In order to get and generate the best feeling state from humanity so that you can have the coolest jam session and interact with each other and have pleasure in those interactions, you have to get rid of this irritative technology. So this is one of the things that I've written in my new notes, which is the need to purge this planet of technology. But not only that, you need to purge the world of technology. So please note the same technology that is so irritant here is proliferated throughout the galaxy. And it's not, technology does not have to be an irritant. This is also why I am so enraged when I type on the computer and it does not come out correctly. It actually is doing that on purpose, this very malformed system. And I'm a computer software engineer from the galaxy. I know that there's better systems out there. It is possible to actually type on the computer and not have the words come out garbled and, grotesquely malformed. That is the technology that you are dealing with here. It is inherently anti-life and anti-human. So it is possible to have technology that is much better than this, but you guys don't have it here. And you want to purge the technology that you have here that is this type of anti-life, anti-Christ irritant to your light body. You want to get rid of it completely. But you don't want to just get rid of here. You want to get rid of it throughout the whole entire galaxy. So these are some important expectations. Because if from my notes of 10 years ago, or before you went through this horrible scarification of the past 5 years, if you think, okay, great, now we're going to interact with a larger civilized galactic realm, that larger existent civilized galactic realm did not clear up the irritant technology. And my presence here and the events that I have been a part of here is cleaning up that irritant technology. It was proposed to me as I was preparing my notes to talk to you today, the concept of simply getting onto the path of light. And of course, here's my marketing. Everybody join my path of light. But, also making fun of myself aside, please join my path of light class. It begins next week, the same time that I usually do this class. I'm so happy that more people are joining on, because on Path of Light class, I don't talk about evil and crap and garbage and irritants. I actually give you the master training of how to interact with matter and how to generate new matter and how to transform matter with your mind. And this is the essence of what Flying Rainbow Lasagna is. Let's get the lasagna. Let's talk about this. I really pray that they will stop the power washing. I'm being tortured in front of you. Flying Rainbow Lasagna is a combination of formerly divergent realms. It is a combination of spirit and matter. The very same things, of course, this is all recap from the class that you've just taken, that Einstein gave to you as matter and energy in constant dualistic opposition. But what happens if you put them together? Oh, thank God, I think they have stopped. I don't even know. A miracle does occur. No, it started again. Okay. But spirit and matter come together and create a new type of responsive matter. Not a dead matter that is ignorant or unconscious or responsive, or does not have an interaction with your thought forms, but a type of matter that directly responds to your thought forms being energy. And when you're in that realm of Flying Rainbow Lasagna, your entire motivational structure and what is important to you will change and shift. So up until this point, I have talked about this as being a type of survival tool where you are down in a very, very low vibration in a very, very turmoil, chaotic world. And you're using this as attraction, like a ice pick to be able to get you up and out. And you are able to use this in much, much finer circumstances. I am creating the circumstances for you to be able to do that. Again, I pray with everything I have that they will stop power washing any minute. Thank you so much. Thank you to everybody who is in this class and who is here during the actual live lecture here. Very, very atypically, a workman decided today would be the day that they would be power washing directly outside of my window directly during our class. And of course, it was not possible to function correctly. So hopefully miracles do occur and this person will be done. Also, I'm even torn because like the first 15 minutes of this class are pretty much a complete waste. So let's just start from the beginning right now, okay? And hopefully I can kind of regain some amount of energy. Please know that it's not just technology like that is Bluetooth or computer-based technology. Like what was going on outside right now is a very loud air compressor, and the pitch or the sound of that going on is also an anti-ascension technology. So in order for what we're talking about is, to move it, the future and beyond. That's the name of this curriculum, like where we are right now and how Flying Rainbow Lasagna is influencing or creating pathways for you to move forward into the future. And I must emphasize that your future and your optimum timelines do not involve technology in any way. So not only this technology, but also you must begin to calibrate your mind to have an expectation of living without technology, period. And if that makes you feel scared or intimidated, you have to come to an acceptance of that. So some of the things that I would like for you to know are, in a very, very positive sense, there is an enormous amount of ascension energy, meaning pure light. Again, I emphasize, take my Path of Light class. It is very positive and very uplifting. Imagine this quotient of light is like a lot of messages and books that you haven't had an opportunity to read. And then as soon as you receive your personal tutelage, all of a sudden you are capable and informed in ways that you weren't before. The 5G network, the Starlink satellites that have been around this planet for 5 years have been blocking out your messages. So you have a lot of cosmic stuff waiting in your inbox. Once you begin to receive that, you will begin to actually move forward. So with less inflammation, I'm now, from the first 15 minutes of what I was trying to say, I am trying to establish with you my corrected relationship, because you guys have to start taking a lot of responsibility for yourself, meaning you have to heal your own bodies. So I know that I have done a lot of session work, and I am pleased to do that. I am pleased to be a mentor for your psychic gifts, help to clear nanotechnology out of your bodies, help to restore people on their own path, help to make it so that your body is able to purify yourself and detoxify yourself. But I was so gratified when I was driving to Sedona, and some of the higher messages that I received were about this incoming influx of energy, and that it is not my personal individual job as this embodiment here in two arms and two legs and one face for me to heal all of you on this planet. So it is recognized that you have a whole large amount of unprocessed trauma. You have your personal individual trauma, your ancestral planetary trauma, and then whatever the F happened over the past 5 years, a lot of trauma. I am pleased to report that it is not my job and my responsibility to have to heal you of that. You will be given the tools and the resources that you need. Hooray. So now getting back to like good, more positive, more uplifting energies. The energy that is coming in right now is like building blocks for what you can do for your body. When I first say this, like I'm not responsible for healing your body. Some of you might be like, ego response, like, who do you think you are? And you should do this and all these different things. But please listen and wait before you become like angry or reactive, or maybe you didn't feel that way. But just listen. I think you'll really like this. As you're moving into these opportunities and moments of excellence, you will not want to have anybody else touch or fix or change your body in any way. This is a positive thing that is happening for you. You are moving into levels of being in charge of yourself. You're going to be in charge of your whole planet. That's why you actually don't want supposedly benevolent galactic civilizations to come on in and tell you, here's how you do your economy. Here's how you grow food. Here's how you do this. And if that sounds like all the things that happened in ancient Sumeria that were bad, it is. And you should not be Stockholm syndroming and be in love. Oh, they're starting that horrible noise again. Be in love with your captors and hope that another set of captors is going to come on in. What you have to do instead is be prepared to create your own organization, create your own culture, create your own levels of civilization. Again, it is very, very difficult for me to concentrate with the unbearably loud noise. Hold on one moment. I'm just going to go ask this guy if he will stop for me. So first of all, this is very nice to hear. Kimro says, I am so happy to hear you say that we are going to be running things and stop looking for higher beings to do it. Life-changing outlook. Good. Although this is a torturous attempt for me to have class with power washing going outside of my window, I hope that you guys can get the actual nourishment, which is that it's a positive thing to be told that you'll be given more opportunity, more self-empowerment, more tools to create the world that you actually wish to live in. Okay. And I'm very much a part of that in terms of teaching you what Flying Rainbow Lasagna is and how to do it. It's more than just a facility to be able to transform your body. It's more than just a hack to get onto better timelines. It really is mastery and the ability to master matter. But of course, when your world is full of giant fucking satanic assholes, it is difficult for you to master your gifts and actually create artwork and create something beautiful in a beautiful place. Even the unconscious, like the person outside of my window is torturing me with this loud noise, is not a person who can be in this highly calibrated world where everyone is a good musician. So some of the things that will be going on in the near-term future are my responsibility, and I will be doing that in terms of purging your world of both satanic occupants, organizations, and technology. But then there are things that are going to be your personal responsibility. That comes down to the restoration of your own body according to your divine blueprint or your optimum form. And that is something that you negotiate with the divine creator, like God, the sun and stars. Oh God, the noise has stopped. Maybe I can actually think for a minute. No, the noise is back again. Determining what is the life that you would wish to live for you. So I'm an arts teacher, and I'm trying to give you tools that way you can paint a beautiful life for yourself. But I am not trying to dictate to you what your life should look like or what should be the shape of your life. This is very much about you generating and expressing your own choices. But of course, I will not allow any of the fucking bullshit of the past 6,000 years. So there are some immediate non-starters. Like if a person was as malevolent as the cruelty of the past 6,000 years, like sexual violators, all the things that I talked about in last week's class, and also thank you for listening, the people who were a part of that class and the people who watched the archive. I got an enormous amount of positive comments and positive feedback in my raw authenticity and my ability to go out on a limb and say the things that are truthful, but maybe socially inflammatory or socially inappropriate. So I'm very, very happy to be, I am totally inappropriate, and to give voice to the things inside of you that you might not even allow yourself to articulate, or that might be considered forbidden thoughts or socially forbidden thought forms and structures. And I'm happy to give voice to them for you. And then as you begin to think about and inhabit those forbidden thought forms and structures, how that proliferates through the rest of your life and how that changes so many things. So one of the big changes should be, why should you have to have an intermediary between yourself and the ability to manifest or directly create reality? Getting rid of or bypassing both an external God or what has been this, I call it Shekinah, but I don't have a better word for it, but this very, very hijacked divine feminine creational presence that was the power source at the Great Pyramid many, many thousands of years ago. And you could think of that even as the ability to create and give life in this world being hijacked and mispurposed in some way. And then you can also comprehend a very, very genuine and literal and direct profusion of life that shouldn't be. And that's like the original genetically modified people that I talked about in class last week, but then also all of their descendants, to the point that what you have in this planet right now is not just an amalgamation of good and evil in your genetic code, but a proliferation of many, many consciousnesses or people or recipes that should never have been made. That cakes that should never have been baked, recipes that should never have been made. They're not good flavors. They're not ideal. They are very, very much mediocre, and they do not serve a purpose in the larger time field construct. They are actually not harmonically perfect, and they're not the way that they're not contributing to the overall structure of reality. And so, I mean, there are a lot of questions about that are your intellectual and moralistic questions. What do you do with a bunch of people who are mediocre filler? How do you get rid of them? All these different things. So please know that you possibly have calibrated to expectations about what the future will be with all of that ballast, like all of that extra stuff or non-ideal or non-intentional presences here. But start to imagine, like, what would your life be like if those presences weren't here? And some people might think, bizarrely, like, well, you need to have the masses or the bulk or the filler, because like that's how you have to have an economy, right? Like you're going to have people to buy stuff at the dollar store, like to buy slop, to be consumers. You're going to have somebody out there to be consumers. Please recalibrate that expectation. Please recalibrate any expectation that requires the herds, quote unquote, the masses, the sheep, the larger structure of humans that are not fully present, and even recalibrate your political expectations, because first of all, politics is black magic, and we're not going to have this going forward, but the sense of the need to harness the free will of your fellow humans to achieve some type of consensus. That is a non-starter, because you had 90% of people who were here who were really genetic aberrations, or people who were not their true self or their true form or their ideal form, or people who were supposed to be here. And many of them had, a contribution. They played a role, earned money, paid taxes, and voted. But they did not necessarily contribute to the ideal level of reality. And in their somnambulance, their sleepwalking, and their partial consciousness and partial participation here, they've been some of the most hijacked people. They have also had their energy siphoned and mispurposed. It's not just the Shekinah, whose energy of creative manifestation is unguarded and taken, again, without consent or with partial consent, and then used towards bad things. It's humans. It's people. What political will is harnessed from the masses and then is misapplied to various different things that can be wasteful, fraud, taxation, or wars that humans don't condone. But, pardon me, need to hydrate. Thank you. Their energy of manifestation or the capability of making things happen is being taken either through blind spots, through areas of without consent, or they're being exploited where they gave partial consent or consent to something else. And then they have consent creep, where it's like, I agree to this, but then this and this and this also happens. And that cannot go forward in our world. So, as I did a white hot rant last week about the responsibility of the power source, that is the original power source, in antiquity that became Judeo-Christianity. Each person who is alive here today needs to make sure that you are not a fractal microcosmic mistake of that original mistake, to make sure that your creative energy is encrypted or guarded, that only you use it, and that you use it in the way that you truly intend. Let's say, what if you voted for a bad politician? You thought this guy's going to be different than all of the other guys. They were all liars and losers, but this guy's really going to clean up the community. And you vote for this guy, and he gets into office, and then he's like, screw all of you. Now that I'm in office, I will steal money and do bad things and not conform to the law myself. And nane poo poo, you voted for me. What do you do? Does this sound like a real scenario from real life? It does. And if my energy feels better, it's because I think the auditory torture outside finally stopped. And now you'll feel like the real me coming back. The answer is you must withdraw your consent. And you do that with your energy field, like with your heart and with your emotions, but you also do that with your voice. As you might once have said to people talking or writing, hey, I support candidate X. And then he becomes a giant fuck up. And then you're like, I don't like this anymore. Then you should use your voice to withdraw consent. And you say, I no longer condone or support this person. I thought they would be good, but they're not good anymore. And I don't condone this. Okay. You have to do that worldwide with literally every single one of your leaders and with the concept of government itself. And then what is going to be, what will rule humanity? When I say the removal of government itself, many people who have atrophied self-posture muscles about moralism and what is right and even what is common decent human behavior are concerned that everyone will fall over without the exoskeleton of government support. People are concerned that there's not enough innate morality or innate sense or innate self-organizational principle in terms of your economy and your barter and your commerce, that you require some type of external government, whatever, exoskeleton and prosthesis to keep you going in the right direction. I propose that that is not truthful. I propose that you actually can self-organize, but not with your polluted population, not with either the quotient of overtly satanic, like evil from the foundation level, from the genetic level people, or the mediocre, the masses who didn't mount a defense and stand up to the profoundly evil ones. That you cannot do this level of self-organization when you have those very, very poor musicians in the band. So a better way of me bringing this curriculum to you is to say, what would your life be like? And please envision a future with the parameters that overt evil has been removed from your world, that this satanic quotient in your population is gone, and then also the mediocre people who do not guard their own energy and who were wittingly or passively, like with no muscle tone, participating in the Satanism of the world are also not here. And before you go into like the concern about like, well, what happened to them? Like let's just put that on the back burner. Just be like, let's just pretend we don't ask that question. All right. Because I understand if you have concerns, like, where did mommy, daddy, where did they all go? What happened? It's like, don't ask those questions. Just enjoy your utopia. Don't ask what happened to all these people. But they will, their lives will have to be resolved. They don't belong here. And if there's anything about the book of Revelation that is palatable to me or to anyone who is good, it is the sense that there is an avenging force that comes in at the end and purges the world of evil. But you also can sense from my presentation last week that the Bible itself, it grooms you with something that is seemingly appealing, but then also adds many layers of things that are not appealing. And the other things that are not appealing about the proposed prophetic ending of the Bible have to do with the events leading up to that avenging of evil, and also the sense that it would only be a temporary reprieve, and then you would have to confront evil again. Please know that that was all baked in, like the sequel, confronting evil, the sequel, and that you would have to do that again after only a very, very short blip on the radar screen of utopia. So I do not condone the book of Revelation and the insane people that were running your world for, a long amount of time up until very recently. They believe in it, but they don't really believe in it. They're materialists who are also supernaturalists. I'm giving you some good information here. On the one hand, they believe in the world with the five senses, but on the other hand, they truly do believe in the supernatural. And that is what motivates them to do a lot of their dark rituals, that they know that they are doing more than just naughtily exploring their own sub and unconscious desires. And I told you about that last week, that, there was a time when people just did bad shit that happened, but without the demonic interface and the sense of a formality and a sacrifice at the temple, it was just bad shit. And it wasn't the driver for satanic architecture, but that there was this belief system engendered that made it possible for people to explore their own and subconscious desires, be bad people, and get rich at the same time, get rewarded at the same time. So, of course, everything that you're watching in your present world as it relates to changes in the world economy relate to the restoration of your true willpower and of the true granting of wishes. Wishes haven't really been granted for the past 6,000 years. The wishes of evil people have been prioritized, and the wishes of you, the good people, have been deprioritized. So I ask you now to consider, like the Flying Rainbow Lasagna, the future and beyond, what is the world like when your wishes are prioritized? You have perhaps calibrated to be like, oh yeah, like the evil fat asses always get what they wish for, and the good people are always like the church mice, like we have nothing, like the Who's of Whoville. They're like, we have nothing, but we love each other. Let's hold hands and sing. Like that is not the way it is supposed to be at all. So please recalibrate your expectation for energy flows to excellence. Evil and wicked people should not even have existence. They should not even have life force energy flowing to them. Like they should not have a blood supply or oxygen or any glucose or anything like that, because all those things are light. Take a Path of Light class. It's very uplifting. They shouldn't have gold or dollars or whatever, diamonds or real estate. They shouldn't have anything flowing to them. So you possibly have calibrated to this multi-generational expectation that evil thrives or flourishes and that good is impoverished. Change all of that expectation. And that is something that requires your inner transformation before you see the external results. You have to make the inner resolve to see that, and then you have to make the efforts to experience that. So some of what I want to tell you about is like envisioning what things will be like when you don't have huge obstacles and impediments, but also each one of you is going to have a super strong vision of who you want to be in the world. And I know that that's a tall order because many of you have not had opportunities to self-construct amidst either the satanic world before even 5 years ago, and then the very, very like mental straitjacket that was technologically placed on this world of the past 5 years. It might have been difficult for you to self-explore. Your consciousness was reduced, but also you were so focused on the realm of five senses and being able to meet your material needs that it was difficult for you to do something like live an unscheduled life, dance when you feel like dancing, surround yourself with art and beauty. Like I really understand this. And being here in this world where I have also had to learn about commodification, selling your time for money, how to live, how to survive. Like, please believe me, I am here because I'm not just going to blithely be floating on a cloud and tell you, like, wave my magical diamonds at you. Be like, oh, just figure it out, darlings. I told you that lady who was at my not my frame shop that I worked at, and she required a large order and said it will take a long time. She just waved her giant diamonds at me like this. Here's her diamonds. Just wave them at me. Be like, just oops, put it there safely. It's fine. But be like, just make it happen. Just make it happen. I'm not just giving you this type of unfunded mandate. I really am here in solidarity and facing the same challenges that you are and finding resources. But what I have that you might not have yourself yet is a very strong sense of self, that I already came in here with a strong purpose and a strong mission. And now I'm getting back to some of my self-presentation here about who I am and what role I play. I know that I'm supposed to be making artwork, making music, teaching people about the Flying Rainbow Lasagna dance, and that is the best way I can contribute in this world. And that Flying Rainbow Lasagna dance, I also want you to know, it is a life transferable skill. It's not just figuring out how to calibrate for a totally effed up realm. It is a life transferable skill that you're basically dancing in the solar wind, and you will be continually dancing in the solar wind in the next ultimate chapter that you find yourself in, that is like post-materialism. So these are really, really important things to do. And, fighting and confronting evil, and I call it taking out the trash or scrubbing the cosmic toilet. These are necessities that I have had to learn to do here. Just like the Flying Rainbow Lasagna is something that you're using as a survival tool because you're like, life sucks so hard. Like, get me out of here, lasagna. Get me out of here, lasagna. But this is meant to be so much more than that. This is meant to be more than just a survival tool. This is meant to be an ultimate expression of your soul and of truth and of beauty and potential. Okay. So in a laborious way, I'm asking you to imagine, what would your planet look like post-evil? And last week, I think I did good inroads at getting you to even imagine and get back to your remembrance of what was your world like pre-evil. You know, like the evil of Judeo-Christianity, the evil of Satanism, the evil of this completely out of balance biological dynamic in your world. And then what would your world look like when it is resolved? And you are powerful creators. And this is, again, not just a platitude about how powerful your mind is, because many people in the past have been like, yeah, my mind is so powerful, but like, why is the evil Vatican still in existence? Or why is evil Washington, D.C. still in existence? Those power structures are really gone. You guys have to start to comprehend this. So the former paradigm power structures are no longer viable. And it is up to you to fill the gap or to come in as consciousness infrastructure to begin to create and generate reality. And remove from yourself any self-stories or expectations of like, if you don't have like the access to resources or the education or the opportunities or the academic background, like the things, what gave these fat asses, and you know who I'm talking about, the fat asses are meeting in Davos today as we speak. What gives those fat asses any more entitlement to structuring human reality than you? And the answer is nothing, except for what I call a nerve plexus. Just like language is a nerve plexus, you learn it in your brain. Don't come here in the brain with that. So some of these fat asses in Davos, when they were born, someone held them or put them on their knee. It was like, you're going to be a giant fat ass one day. You'll run banks and own corporations and look down on the peasants, and you'll do stuff that other people can't dream of doing, and you'll have you'll be swimming in gold and diamonds and be able to get lots of things done. So that is a grooming and expectation since from a very, very early age, and also part of their academic tradition, part of their, social hierarchy and the class distinction the classes that they run within all emphasize that. That's what I mean, a nerve plexus, the learned and cultivated behavior of entitlement inside of them. And that you have had the opposite. Since you were a little tiny child, the people in your life said like, you are a piece of shit. You will go nowhere and do nothing. What would they say? Life's a shit sandwich. Enjoy another bite, my beautiful, lovely child. Like, really, that's what they tell you. And I'm sorry for my poor language, of course, but I hope that it's hilarious. But really, there's a lot of indoctrination amongst the peasants by the older generation. That's pretty much like, life sucks and then you die. Sorry, kid, what's important? Death and taxes. Fall over in the grave. You got nothing, right? You got nothing. All right. So each one of you that's listening to this, maybe you relate, maybe you don't relate, but you who are in my class, like you're the cream of the crop of humanity. You have potential to be able to be much more than what the previous generation indoctrinated you or gave you the expectation of what you could be. And it is important for you to move beyond the previous generation. When you fly in Lasagna, you are transforming your DNA from your familial heritage, from everything you're familiar with, things that you know about, but also with their patterns and tendencies, including the pattern and tendency of self-deprecation, persecution, what's it called when you think that nothing good will ever happen, like, defeatism and other negative expectations about your potential. Thank you. Just need to hydrate you. So I use the example. If people are from a family who has never gone on to higher education, perhaps the previous generations were busy and they did not have an opportunity to go to college or cultivate themselves more than basic literacy. But maybe you are the first person in the family who has the intellectual and financial capacity to actually cultivate yourself more and go to college or like go to music school or something like that. Some families would celebrate and they would be like, oh, we worked so hard, so we put our best into everything that we did so that way you, the next generation, could have the best launch pad, and you're going to go far, kid, and we love and believe in you. All right. But then that's good, right? That's positive. But then there are some families that are kind of like this. Who do you think you are? Come down here in the crab bucket with us. Like, why do you think you're not going to have a shit sandwich? We all had a bad life and we didn't get very far, and you're not going to get very far either. Okay. And that might also be like very familiar to you. It is essential to disengage yourself or to quantumly disentangle from the influence of your biological family members and your ancestors. And I'm happy to report that you're finally getting into this moment of individuation because you were supposed to have it 5 years ago. And what the 5G satellite network did was to create humanity as one giant interconnected slush fund. I, in my vernacular, call that being graded as a group. And you are in a terrible class, like where there's some very bad F students, and they are bringing down your class average. So if you did that, none of you would ascend. And that was because your life force energy, as you begin to accelerate, rise higher, become closer to divinity and more on the path of light, energy siphoned away by these fuckface assholes who don't have a snowball's chance to be able to ascend themselves. Now I am working to reduce this 5G network and a bunch of other things. I don't always talk about and articulate everything here. So I want you to know that there's a lot that's going on that I don't always talk about, but you're regaining your assessment as individuals. That means it is the restoration of spiritual boundaries, no longer having your energy siphoned off. Very, very positive news for you. Bad news for the fuckface assholes, because they're kind of like, oh no, like they're going to nosedive down, of course, because they don't have subsidies holding them up. They don't have consciousness or spiritual subsidies holding them up. And also soon they will not have materialistic five senses financial subsidies holding them up, because you're starting to comprehend from different information coming to you that everything in your financial world has actually been a fraud, like a fiction, but a fraudulent fiction, a non-supportive, non-harmonic narrative that many many exploitive power sources in your world perpetrated. They held this fiction because it benefited them, and then everyone else agreed to those fictions. So these are the fat asses in the World Economic Forum and the International Monetary Fund. Like, if you as a peasant ever considered, like, what is up with all this national debt and how are all these banks structured and all this, it was intentionally abstruse. It was intentionally inaccessible to your mind. The people that went to special colleges and took special classes were given the arcane knowledge and the ancient lore of how do you structure world debt? How do you do all these things? And then those are the people who have been, I want to say shunted, like they have been elevated or installed into these different positions to be able to have an impact on the world economy over you. And it is a nerve plexus that they should be entitled to those positions. You can rescind that consent. Like, I do not consent to these self-elevated people or dark wizards or money magicians messing with the entire world economy at my expense. All right, that's the first thing, to withdraw your consent. And I know I spoke earlier in the turmoil of the first 15 minutes of this class about withdrawing consent. This is going to be withdrawing consent from political figures and other things that you do not consent to. Some things you passively consented to because you didn't specifically click no, I do not consent to this, whatever evil person ruling over me. But some things you initially consented to and then learned that you were wrong about the whole thing. And then they're like, oh, too bad. Like, you gave your signature and now it's forever, and you have to learn, no, it's not for forever. All of these things are always conditional. All of these consents or contracts or social dynamics are always conditional, and you must always achieve consent every single time. And that's truthful, and that is a life transferable skill. And that also definitely relates to anything that is about interpersonal consent, something about like whether you want to touch someone or have someone touch your body, whether you want to have someone take from your bank account, or whether you want to have, give money to them. Every time you got to ask, every time, do you want this or do you not want this? Every time. And this is the respectfulness of boundaries. When I tell you pure economy is not only energy flows to excellence, it is also the respect of boundaries. So as you're learning about like how to have positive social boundaries with other people, you're also expressing that through your economy. Eventually, you will also be telepathic. And this comes to what you should have been experiencing over the past 5 years. The whole sense of world economy radicalizes when your minds are connected. Up until this point, you have had synthetic telepathy. The 5G has artificially connected everybody's minds. When you have natural telepathy, not everybody's minds are connected. Only the experts, only the people who can create the love tone and above are connected. So imagine if the capacity to be telepathic was not merely dependent upon having hardware like a phone and paying your phone bill. It was dependent upon the quality of your heart, whether you're a good person, and so much more. So the worst, most evil people, the worst criminals in your world created the synthetic telepathy network, and they imposed their mind on everyone else, whether you liked it or not. They did not actually achieve your consent. And they clearly created negative realities as a result. And you didn't have the capacity, sorry, I'm losing my mind a little bit there, didn't have the capacity to be able to say no and prevent it. All right. In the world that I'm asking you to envision, please know that synthetic telepathy is wiped out, taking down these satellites and these other intrusive voice to skull and W-band, interferences. Then you have to learn the etiquette and the beauty of how to be telepathic with other minds. And you are telepathic with the good minds that you are in love with. And if someone is not in love with you, they should not be telepathic with you. But once you create this network, which is a true network of Christ on this planet, where you are lovingly telepathic with other humans and dogs and cats and plants and animals, cannot have an exploitive economy. Because if you're doing something that poisons all of the Gulf of Mexico, then the dolphins are going to be telepathic with you, and they're going to be like, stop putting garbage in my house. I don't like it. And this is a very real thing, because that's what humans did with a lot of the oil drilling in the Gulf of Mexico, put a lot of garbage in the dolphins' house of there, and then a lot of them died and had miscarriages and a lot of very, very bad stuff. Okay. So that was, of course, in a time when humans were not communicative and not telepathic. Now you have to have a completely new way of doing things, where you assess all of your economic behaviors and all of your commerce in the sense of how does it have an impact on everyone else, and everyone else has a voice. And that includes trees, microbes, dolphins, other human beings, all these things. And there's not a way to be exploitive. You can't just be like, okay, dump a bunch of oil in the Gulf of Mexico. I'm going to be rich. Wait, where's my diamonds? I'm going to be so rich with my beautiful, amazing diamonds. Sorry, dolphins. And then the dolphins were all like we're dying. But I'm like, but look, my diamond. You can't have that. Cannot have that world where you are benefiting or rising up at the expense of others. So please envision, when you're thinking about what the future is going to be structured like, it has to be an economic activity or commerce activity that benefits everyone. And so now you understand that you're far from that goal. So there's your long-term goal, which is a world without money, where everyone has solidified their inner value system to be able to be functional in a world without these types of government guardrails, subsidies, satanic lawfare, and things like that. It requires a huge amount of, I keep using the word self-responsibility, but also like self-motivation, self-volition, erecting your own boundaries, and then enforcing your own boundaries. I'm sorry, collect my thoughts when I'm saying so much. And also my brain starts to go very fast, and I have to kind of like reconnect to my mouth and to reality. You will be given an opportunity to do a lot more than you've presently been able to do. And you'll have many, many fewer obstacles from what you have been attempting to do up until this point. Disappointments of the past, you will recalibrate away from. So please know when you're like, well, I've always really wanted to do this, but I never had a chance. So that means you recalibrate away from your disappointments. And also, some people have not had an opportunity to really explore who they are. Again, you've been in survival mode. It's essential for you to explore who you are. And that means that you start to begin to be motivated by things beyond the profit motive, but also by the fulfillment motive of you being who you really need to be. So we have long-term vaunted goals about energy flowing to excellence and the purging of all evil from your social fabric. But then there's the near term. And like anyone, like I would like to skip directly to the good stuff. And the good stuff also is So I'm trying to get this out and it's just not coming out properly, but let me say it. Okay, when you are all psychic, everything recalibrates. When you are able to manifest matter, everything recalibrates. I'm cycling back now to the concept of healthcare and medicine and what costs some people so much. Like you will not only not wish for another human being to touch your body or try to fix you in some way. The idea of that being a huge expense, medical bankruptcy in your world will no longer be something that is truthful. And for any one of you, like you might have known someone who couldn't afford surgery or they were bankrupted by it or whatever it is, that will no longer be an issue. Not because everybody is all of a sudden given like free surgeries galore. Everybody's being cut open on every day. No, but because you are given the capacity to transform and genuinely heal your own body without having to seek these very unfulfilling forms of not genuine medical care that humans have engaged with for so very long. So that means that you'll be given the opportunity to build and restore your own body. And also you got to transition. So if you're like, okay, great. Is that going to happen like today, tomorrow, in a week? How long am I talking? This is also like a long-term vaunted goal that you have to recognize. Your total self-fulfillment in your body is directly analogous to the larger planet getting fixed and healed. And the stuff that is not right in your own body probably goes back to some early stuff, like maybe early vaccinations that you received or early orthodonture. People don't comprehend how much shifting the teeth in the skull changes people's eyes and eyesight, changes people's jaw structure, changes people's head on their neck structure, changes everything going down the whole entire body. Even things like wearing shoes that might have been too small or too pointy, changing foot structure, other things. Someone cut out your appendix, someone cut out your tonsils, other things that happen later in life, hormonal things, like all of these things that are looked at as like normal or common aspects of transforming the body. You're all going to have to get your bodies back to the way they were supposed to be. Who you would have been if you had never had these influences by industrialized medicine or dentistry, orthodontia, and other things that have been done to your body. You're all going to have to get your bodies back. Okay. It is positive for me to say that that is each one of your own individual job joys. And when I say it right now, you might be intimidated by it because you're like, oh, I don't know, Rory, that's a lot to change and fix and everything like that. But when you are in your psychic presence, it will not be daunting to you. You will actually be so happy to do it. You will be very, very happy and you will be like, no, hands off. I don't want someone else to fix this. I want to fix this. And it is part of your own personal growth and your pathway to ascension to learn how to fix and heal and protect and operate your own body. All right. And then the other thing is analogy. So you're going to want to clear out the sky. You're not going to want to have this chemtrail crapola up there. You're going to want to clean out trees, the soil, all these other things. You're like, wait, Aurora, it's too big. There's too many particles everywhere. It's too much stuff. It's like, no, it is not too much pollution because once you become psychically activated, it becomes possible for you to do things that your rational mind cannot conceive of and materialistic presence cannot perform. But you can do amazing things. So just know this. I know this from my own capabilities, and I expect you to have similar abilities when you are fully awakened and fully empowered. So you will be able to clean up all the pollutions out of your own body and all the pollutions out of the planet. But I'm talking about not only particulates, I'm also talking about frequencies. So what you have to know is that your light body is not invulnerable. It is very much impacted by frequencies around you, and that the technology that I'm so allergic to and some of these things that are so difficult for me to be exposed to are like, these things should not be in your world. And this is, very harmful technology. So you have to renegotiate your relation. You're going to transition. At one point, you'll have no technology, but right now, in near term, you're going to use something in the form of money, something in the form of technology. And I have been preserving this for you because I did not want humanity the most vulnerable people in your world to die. Like there are many peripheral timelines where you have a cessation of all services. That means like you don't have electricity anymore and you don't have the banking system anymore, but also only people that are strong and able-bodied are able to survive. And then also there's a lot of violence towards, the vulnerable and people who are not able to protect themselves. And I can sense that those are not ideal circumstances. So I've talked a lot about the sense of a social fabric renovation, not demolition. If you live in a house, you don't have to demolish it. You can do room by room renovation. That's what I've been doing in order to preserve the social fabric. So instead of being like, Aurora, I really don't like to have to pay my Geico bill, like I can relate. Can we just have like an end of social services and we're all just going to live close to nature? And I'm like, yes, but I actually think it's a lot easier and better for you to pay your Geico bill for another couple of months or years until you're able to heal your body more and more comfortably transition to a world that is far away from technology. So please start to consider that you will want to move away from technology and deprioritize it in your life, meaning you will touch it less, interact with it less. It might still be there, but you're going to be spending your time doing things that are much, much different. I have a lovely student in this class who just got a job working on an organic farm. And she's like working in a garden, working in a greenhouse, pulling weeds and doing all sorts of things instead of endlessly being on Instagram. And what is actually lovely about this person is that she has been indoctrinated into the world of, marketing and commerce in young people right now, where they're like, oh, yes, if you do goods or services, you're just going to have to be on Instagram, promoting yourself, and that's how people will find you. And she was like, confessed to me that her greatest wish is to have a career and have good income and not have to be promoting herself on Instagram. And this is now considered like the greatest achievement that a person can do. Not the greatest achievement, and I'm not mocking her at all. I'm actually like mocking the system that you're within. This is a positive wish that she has. And I said to her, it is totally achievable. And I want all of you to have this wish. This reliance upon Twitter or Instagram or Facebook to sell your services or make your community aware of who you are has been toxic and poisonous. The algorithms have artificially elevated some people who conformed to the regime, who took the inoculations, have the micromachinery going through their brain, emit the degradation frequencies, and then are neutered and defanged. And those are the people who got rewarded by those algorithms. And when you present yourself to be algorithmicized or whatever, organized by algorithm, like then energy does not flow to excellence. Energy flows to the people that the algorithm condones. And if you would like to have energy flow to you as excellence, you got to find ways to make the algorithm world obsolete. That's what this lovely student and participant in this class was wishing for. And also there's other people that I've heard express similar wishes. So please know that is up to you. Each one of you must create and generate that world. The fat asses in Davos are not going to create and generate that world. They also, those fat asses, do not have a lot of personal power in terms of their passion, their own genetic creativity, and their ability to connect to time and make things happen. Like if this was just a sense of pure spiritual athleticism, and you want to test who can run the furthest, who can run the fastest, all of you guys can run much further and much faster than the fat asses in Davos. Those guys are, I would say they are lazy in the sense that they're used to using dark magic, which is a way of artificially, I want to say dysfunctioning, artificially diseasing time and distorting time, and also exoskeletons. Exoskeletons are like government power structure and money power structure. Like if you don't have a lot of personal power, you can use bureaucracy and laws to get stuff done, or money, intimidation, and bribery to get stuff done, right? But those are all lame ways to get things done. You guys can get things done in a different way. Like if I want to make a song or play with a band, I'm not like, I know I will write a law about it, call Congress. I'm also not like, you know what I think? I'm going to bribe people or possibly blackmail them into being in a band with me. No, of course not. I would be like, call up people who I think are good musicians. I'd be like, hey, I'd like to jam. Let's play some music. And then we would get together and make some music. Like, do you understand the world that I am proposing to you in this positive future that we have to generate is a world that is like the third option, where you are working together with other people to create and sustain a beautiful reality. And none of it is done through bureaucratic blackmail or posturing or through money being weaponized. This is a big change in people's mind. What is it like when money is not weaponized? When money is not used as a tool for like behavioral control and punishment and reward, when money is actually a reward for being a good person. So punishment and reward, that's like you're a rat in a maze. You press the button correctly and you get your money, right? But in the world that I'm proposing, you follow your heart and you do what you think is right. And then you get money as a result of that. You guys are used to the world where you follow your heart and you do what you think is right and you have like no money and a lot of bills and you, whatever, have problems in life. And that is the old world that you're coming out of, where it's like, oh yeah, like I wish I had this and that, but I didn't do that. I wasn't like a cutthroat corporate person. I chose this other route and then didn't have a lot of money. Time to recalibrate all of that. Really, really, really. And also comprehend that you're in a transitional state. So eventually the goal is no money and energy flows to excellence and everybody is sane and everybody has good values and you've purged your world of satanic crap, including your own traumatic echoes of what it was like to be immersed in a satanic world. But you're coming into this time of transition where it's like you're not in a perfect world yet. It's honest. All right. So you have to have an honest expectation of how to get through the next months or years. And you definitely have to build a bridge out of materialism and into supernatural capabilities. And I already mentioned to you that the evil ones and the very satanic ones purport to be materialists. Like a lot of these scientists, they are like, I only believe in the five senses world and I only believe in these things that I can see. But what genuinely motivates them on these deep emotional levels to cut up animals in laboratories and do these, horrific experiments on them is actually supernatural. So they are very conflicted in that they are avowed materialists, but they still serve a supernatural role in the sacrifices that they do. So please know, like, they are unwitting or ignorant, but still doing these sacrifices. And then also a lot of the sacrifices that I talked about at length last week are things that have been normalized in your world as things like inoculations and injecting fragments of DNA or something that has been cultured outside of the body into various different organisms' body. Like this is seen as a secular activity, but it is actually a supernatural form of sacrifice. And that, of course, if doctors do that enough, then they are financially rewarded. So the materialist doctors are rewarded for their behavioral activities that actually serves a supernatural purpose. What you are going to have to do is navigate this world where you're like coming into your supernatural purpose, no longer allowing this ignorance and misuse of a supernatural energy to rule your world. So this is incredibly important. Like everyone is going to have to be conscious and consciously aware of the way that you use energy. So there's no way to be able to be like, it's not my fault. I didn't know. I'm just a materialist. I didn't know that I was harming the fabric of space-time. I thought I was just whatever, injecting someone with some diphtheria toxin or something like that as a form of health. Like none of those excuses are going to be acceptable. So I'm looking at some things that I have over here because I'm going to get to your comments and questions. I also wanted to invite you. Started out like this particular presentation started out so badly. I'm only just getting into my groove. Please consider this a general Q&A for anything that you've wanted to know about for the whole entire semester and things that I didn't address. So two things are now going to look to student questions, but I'm also looking at all the things that I wrote for my 2026 update. Okay, let me first do all of my 2026 update, then I'll get to student questions. Necessary in the near future, reassess all frequency pollution in the world. And that's not just for EMF sensitive people. So look, everybody is an awakening light being. And that goes for every single organism that's here. That means that you have to prioritize the frequency of your body, not just the fleshy materialism of your body. So The people that are considered EMF sensitive are actually the correctly calibrated people. They are the Stradivarius violins in your world. And then everyone else who is like a nonsense, zombified Walmart shopper, those are the people who eventually would awaken their light bodies and then would say, I don't like these loud noises. I don't like these bright lights. It's time for us to change society. You, as the early vanguard of awakening light bodies, you cannot wait or require the rest of humanity to catch up in order to begin these recalibrations. Like that is the wrong way to do society. For a very long amount of time, humans were like, okay, like, look, we're going to do a thing. We're going to put whatever red dye into all the pistachios. And, but like 3% of the population is going to have their head explode if they eat this, but everyone else would be okay, but we're going to put it in there anyway. That is completely the opposite. If you know that the red dye is going to hurt 3% of your population, you shouldn't put it in the food. You shouldn't put it anywhere. And you have been betrayed by your science because your scientists know that a lot of these frequencies are bad for a certain proportion of your population, and they do it anyway. And they justify it as the masses are okay with it. But I have already personified those masses as mediocre filler. Like there's a reason why they're not allergic to this stuff. There are people who actually shouldn't even exist. And they're not going to come forward and say, like, I'm a finely tuned Stradivarius, like, stop putting this frequency garbage into my atmosphere. So you have to reclaim the self-protective nature of a society to say, if the most sensitive people in your world cannot deal with these frequencies, you should not emit them in your world. You should not emit them if not only people are sensitive to them, but also plants, insects, animals. These frequencies harm all of these other organisms. And just like you couldn't do something that is materialistically going to give you more money at the expense of dolphins, if you're a telecommunications company and you are doing something that is blanketing the world in frequency that hurts human beings, insects, microbes, plants, and animals, you cannot continue with that. So please reassess in your mind anything that has become passive in response to this out of balance dynamic in your world. In the world that you're coming out of, you're like, well, yeah, they're a giant telecommunications company and they can make as much money as they want to, poisoning the world with their frequencies, and that's their prerogative. No, that is not their prerogative. It is your prerogative to come forward and say, I am more powerful. I, as an individual, and all of those who agree with me, do not allow my world to be filled with this frequency or this glyphosate or this genetically modified organism. Is absolutely essential. Like part of what you're going to do is come forward and create new matter and generate new stuff. But before you start generating new stuff, you have to get rid of these hijacking or pollution factors in your world, because otherwise, let's say, create this beautiful egg of reality. And you're like, oh, I made this beautiful thing. And if you haven't cleaned up, then the stuff that is harmful then either impedes or hijacks or diminishes what you're trying to build with this beautiful new thing. Okay, I'm not stopping my presentation, but someone beautiful and fantastic just arrived over here. And Cheeky's always an emotional lift. Let's have a hug. Let's have a nice little hug over here. Good job. We might have to spend some bribes. Then we'll return to all the important stuff that we need to talk about over here. Good job. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. I love it when people send positive love and energy towards Cheeky because she really thrives on it. She really loves it. Okay, so let me do fast, because I know we've had so many interruptions today. I'm going to take a 2-minute break. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for letting me take care of Cheeky, guys. Okay. Okay. I already talked about this one. I'm looking at my notes. Reassessing and recalibrating your expectation of some kind of a giant savior, galactic civilization, or reconnection with Christ-like family. If it's possible that those organisms or loving family members still might exist, but I don't think that it's righteous or appropriate for you to rely upon them or have an expectation. And that might have been correct. Like you should have family to rely upon. And there's a lot of things that I think are very unhealthy in your present level of economy, where people are told, like, get out of the house at age 18, support yourself, like, don't be a drain on your parents and all these things. Like, no, you're really supposed to have loving family. And many of you might never have experienced what really, truly loving and supportive family is in the world. And so a lot of you, as I talked about before, I'm very circular. You're going away and quantum disentangling away from your family and away from the dysfunctions of the genetic patterns of your previous generation. Some of your family will say, hooray, we're happy for you to go in your own unique new lasagna direction. Some of family will say, who do you think you are? To retain your dysfunctions, stay dysfunctional with us and stay miserable with us. So, of course, it's important for you to disentangle, to go into your own levels of individuation, and then also to build your own life, independent from whatever your family or your ancestors defined for you. So you are moving beyond the definition of who you are, like from your family, and also beyond the definition of who you were coming out of human society, which was a very screwed up origin. And you're being given the opportunity to define yourself. It's a positive thing. And this is the type of self-definition that can happen at any age. Chronologically, sometimes self-definition happens when people are under age 5. And that's when they say, like, this is my favorite doll, and this is my favorite color, and this is who I am and who I'm not. But self-definition can and should also happen at older ages in adulthood, especially when you come to a completely new chapter or a new paradigm. So it's like when you start a new job, or when you enroll in a new college, or when you go someplace new and you have a completely blank slate of how you can experience life, then you should self-define. This is a moment like that. So when I say blank slate, like you are coming out of and disengaging from a lot of the negative narrative and self stories of the past, but you're not yet in a moment of total freedom. All right. Because I know we all want to be like, hooray, lasagna, total freedom. And I am very also ready for that moment of total acceleration. Like if you, if we, basically we just need to clean up the world a little bit more before we're able to do that. We are all ready for that moment of total acceleration. You're not going to create bad stuff out of your mind. You truly are ready, but you have to make sure that your creation doesn't get hijacked or spoiled by the echoes and remnants of stuff that you still have to clean up. So even though a lot of evil has been cleaned up, there are still contaminants that you don't want to get onto your cool new project. Okay. And also, everybody needs to heal from trauma. And that is also part of your own self-restoration. So it is definitely not my job to heal your trauma. And you will all be able to do that. And some of that is trauma from your life before the past 5 years, but everybody has been super traumatized over the past 5 years. And there's going to be good moments where you will have a commiseration with other people who went through the past 5 years, to be able to say, wow, that was really a giant pile of bad stuff. That was very, very shitty. And this is the way it affected your mind, your body, your spirit, and then to be able to be restored. And please know that that is very possible. So the scarification of the past 5 years is profound. If you don't know it, the micro machines, they create scarification throughout the entire body, like all of the epithelial cells throughout the veins and arteries and throughout your heart and throughout your brain. Like even if you didn't get the cupcakes inside of you, you got stuff inside of you that create the scarification. So everybody's going to need to have a huge removal of trauma in order to be restored in your physical cellular body. Your physical body can be restored as if this stuff never happened to you. That's on the other side of this transitionary time. All right. So I got that. And I also got to removing any intermediaries. So of course, removing a God or a Jehovah or someone or something that you pray to be able to receive what you want, but also removing from your world whatever has been this dark magic hijacker, whatever granted the wishes of violators, as opposed to granting the wishes of you who are innocents. Now, in saying that, I want to go to this beautiful comment over here. This is something that I read in between one of my little things here. So let me read this. Apologies if I already read this before. It's been a terrible class. Just help me, bear with me. Kim Rose says, and this is a member of this class who is a wonderful Bible scholar and used to be very indoctrinated in the church and now has really come to a different understanding, a different relationship with Christianity. Okay, so Kim says, I used to pray Christian prayers with all my heart. Yesterday, after talking with my son about a situation, I had a bad feeling about it. And when I went to pray for him, I was stuck. After a few minutes, I stopped the approach of praying to a savior to help. I wished for him and his girlfriend to take personal responsibility. I think that is like amazing. First of all, so thank you for telling us about that. I think that represents a very positive leveling up. I never want people to abandon their faith or their deeply held beliefs. However, I would wish for people not to have their prayers hijacked. So in your life, if you care about someone deeply, they come to you, they say, I'm having this problem in my life. You can be like, okay, I'm going to talk to Jehovah or some intermediary, and then I'm going to put it on his plate. Be like, here, Jehovah, here's a file. Here's all the things that I want you to do. Like, here's the Cosmic Complaints Department. You do something about it. And then be like, go back to your son and be like, I did a thing. I talked to Jehovah about it. But then if something doesn't happen or improve in your son's life, then it's like, okay, like that's God's fault. Like I gave him the Cosmic Complaints Department and God didn't do anything. All of this is not to blame you. It is to say that is why our world has been in such a non-optimum circumstance, that there has been some disconnect between your genuine heart and the life experience, the lived experience of the people that you care about. Because if you genuinely care about someone, like I'm going to pray for them to be uplifted or healed. And if they are not uplifted or healed, then who was at fault? Not you. You prayed, you did the right thing, even though the Bible will say, like, it was you. You were a sinner, you didn't pray hard enough, and you're gonna have to repent. And I go into my voice, my accusatory voice, like, repent now, the devil is here. But it's not because you didn't pray hard enough. You prayed hard enough and you were genuine, and something dropped the ball along the way. And then we get into the convolutions of religious persecution where people are like, well, why didn't my prayers get answered? And is God real? And does God exist? And does God give a shit? And why didn't God do this or that? And why is God seemingly rewarding the wicked, fat asses in the WEF, and not helping these people down here who are poor, good people? And the answer to all of that is humanity has been removing its own empowerment or abdicating from the throne, and then praying to a very inadequate intermediary. And that inadequate intermediary, hasn't been there as a divine counterpart to grant your wishes, but then also inexplicably, this dark power source presence, this hijacked pyramid presence, this satanic presence has been granting the wishes of the most evil people in the world and not punishing them. So I am restoring this planetary system. I am wiping out whatever is that hijacked negative wish granting presence because it is criminal. And just know that I'm on the job with it. I don't have answers at the moment. I just know that there's some connection to matrilineal DNA, which is in the mitochondria. And mostly I've been flying Rainbow Lasagna in with the nuclear DNA in people's bodies and in my bodies. And the matrilineal DNA is unique because it actually doesn't change generation to generation like your nuclear DNA changes and has all sorts of genetic diversity. But pretty much this goes back to some of the original maternal figures that are in your family line. So I've talked about the Y chromosome and how that is a chromosome that doesn't get restored. It has devolved and hasn't improved over a long amount of time. Your mitochondria haven't evolved, but they have pretty much stayed the same and not changed or had amendments made to them. So there's a lot in there if there's a maternal connection to this flawed original power source from the pyramid that basically says, go through her as an intermediary, as opposed to go directly to the generative force field of divinity. So you're looking at a profound genetic transformation. And this is part of, I think, some of the genetic modifications that humanity has experienced over time, but to bring it into a simplified experience for people who aren't, genetic engineers, just know that you deserve to be able to connect directly to time and to make things happen with your mind and with your passion. And you don't have to have a construct or an intermediary of either a god, a demiurge, a wish granter, or something that's going to make something happen for you. And that your world is in failure because of all of these intermediaries. They all should lose their job. They are all completely not good at what they do. So, Kim, far from some sort of celebration where it's like, oh, hooray, like you've given up your faith or whatever like that, I am celebrating because you took something that is actually going to get done. Like instead of just putting a letter in the cosmic complaints department, you've done something that's actually going to get done, which is where you use your emotional energy to have an impact on the situation. I will also say this, like sometimes when people pray, it is a way of distancing oneself from actually engaging with what setting a boundary with what happens to be done, with what needs to be done. So sometimes, and sometimes it's very saccharine, not in your case. So I'm not, please don't take any of these as a personal against you. But for some people who are very much engaged in the church, they don't allow themselves their authentic feelings. And they're like, I will pray on this, or I will pray for you. And what they're really saying is like, I can't feel angry, or I can't feel disappointed, or I can't set a boundary and say what is and isn't allowed. So I'm just going to give it up to the Lord and I'm just going to pray, and then something will happen. But what really needs to happen is for a person to be confronted. Again, Kim, not in your case, but sometimes you need to say to someone like, stop being an alcoholic, or like, stop spending all of your money on drugs and alcohol, or stop doing bad things in life. And it's not just about praying for someone. So, I mean, think about this. There's lots of well-meaning Christians that are like, oh yeah, my cousin's a crackhead, and I'm just going to pray to God that something is going to get improved in his life. But like, what you actually need to do is to confront that person and be like, you are a crackhead. Stop hurting yourself and your community with drug abuse. And these confrontations, like a lot of good people feel uncomfortable with claiming that empowerment or that role. And so what they do is they abdicate and they say, that's not my place. And I will just say that it's God's place to do that. But I really think like that has been a failure. That has not been a productive way to be able to structure human society. And I think that it is much more important for people to be directly active in their interpersonal relationships. So like, but you're going to be like, well, Laura, like, what would that look like if instead of well-meaning Christians just like praying for crackheads to stop taking crack, like to actually make them stop doing it? I know, like, what would that look like? What would it look like if Christians, if who are well-meaning, instead of praying amorphously, on a particular day, and then having that energy, harvested away or loosed or being given in some form of like tangential consent, what if they actually did something to confront the people that are doing harm in community? And I would say, like, you can pray, but then also confront is also really important. And at its best, if you are praying to something that's real, you're praying to your own aspect of self. It is really you who is the sun. It is really you who is God. Spoiler alert, like it's all you, but you simply don't have that comprehension and you haven't claimed ownership of that role yet. And it's okay to be there. If you're like, Aurora, I'm in first grade, like I'm not a PhD yet, that is fair. One day you'll be a PhD. One day you'll be the smartest person and smartest version of what you can be. You're not there yet. But in the interim of not being intelligent or capable yet, it's important not to give too much to something else and to try to do what you can in your present state to be able to be powerful. So I think that's what I'm trying to come at here. You don't have to know everything, and you don't have to be omniscient and omnicapable in your present state. You do have to try. You do have to try to do something. And praying can feel good and it can feel positive, then you also must do the thing. And oftentimes, like, you have to say uncomfortable stuff to people in relationships. How about another thing? Like, sometimes people have to be on their own life experience, and you cannot control them. And this is not aimed at you either. I thank you for sharing about prayer in this class. It opens the door for me to be able to talk about this. Prayer as a subtle way to try to control other people. Like sometimes the saccharine Christians really genuinely want to control other people, but they won't do it directly. So they'll just pray for it. But I think like that is a form of inauthenticity. And it's not wrong to want to influence someone else. Like if someone else is eating too much red dye number 3, you should say like, stop eating red dye number 3, not just try to pray to God will make you stop doing something that's self-destructive or harmful. So Sometimes other people's problems are their own problems to solve. Sometimes lives are connected and their problems become your problems. These are difficult math um, uh, things to have to solve. This is difficult for me. I'm used to 1 + 1 = 2. In human behavior, it is very, very difficult to see, like, how do you solve someone else's problem? Like, can you take over your son's life? Kim, I'm like talking to you now. Like, is he in charge of his own life? Yes. Can you take over his life? No. What do you do if he's got a problem and you want to solve and fix it? And it's a problem that is like his own creation or his own responsibility. And then you feel those feelings where you're like, wow, I want to fix stuff, but it's someone else's job. It's not my job. And how do I set a boundary? And how do I do this? And I think that the concept of God can be the way that people get out of their discomfort at not knowing, like, what can you do in another person's life? What is the right thing to do? What is too much? What is too little? It's like, I don't want to judge people for using God in that way, but God has become this enablement that made the world worse instead of better. Instead of people genuinely making things better, the praying to something else to make things better and sidestepping of responsibility made it not work for anyone. So your son has to take responsibility, and many people have to take responsibility for their own lives. And then also, sometimes it is not your position to be uncomfortable if other people are uncomfortable too. And so this is the most difficult time, I think, that you're moving into. When you are in a world where everyone has an activated light body, it will be obvious. People are responsible for their own lives, and it is not your job to fix or heal or anything anybody else. But you're coming out of this time where it's like some people might still be helped, and you need didn't work. Some people might still need to be helped, and also many people have been suppressed. And if you go directly into some kind of severe self-sustenance, some people are, it's not fair on some people because they will need help or community support. So when I tell you, like, it is your job to heal yourself and the light is coming to you, that's appropriate. And each one of you will become your own healer and your own restorer. But when we look at your finances, it's not fair to be just like, okay, just fine, just like make yourself rich. The truth is that restoring your finances might include a rebalancing of your society because physical resources come from other people. So there is a distinction to be made between the light that comes to you and your relationship with God, light in your own body, versus your relationship to the rest of human society, to the world of gold or real estate or physical stuff, and where you get your stuff from. This is very important. And you're in a difficult realm because a lot of people have been artificially suppressed, and they should be given lots of stuff from external sources, from other people. Extra energy should flow to them. And some people should have their resources stripped from them because they have done such a bad job of either being in society or managing those resources. And so you're in a difficult time because you can't just be like a strict hands-off policy. You're still going to have to twist and turn the knobs of reality in order to achieve balance. Then you can be in a hands-off society where everybody takes responsibility. So this is like some of the most difficult territory that you're going to have to get into because it is a kind of gray area without clear delineations, and you'll have to take things on a case-by-case basis. All of that being said, like I tell you, you who are in my class, I think you are the best of the best in my class. Like when I had retreats, the people that come to my retreats are always self-responsible. That means if I say like, okay, there are whatever, 13 of us, and we have 3 cars to be able to drive to the hike excursion, like everybody's self-organized, get into cars, and people manage to figure it out. All right. That is very good. And I've always been very happy about that. So I'm Aurora, and I want to be here inspiring and guiding and mentoring humanity by making art and making music and giving you the freedom and the opportunity for you to organize yourself. But I do not want to micromanage your personal body healing or how you set up your own communities. And it's going to be really important for different groups of people to set up their own communities. You each know yourself and your preferences the best, and you should cook it or prepare it in the way that you want. So again, like I know what I prefer. I know what type of house and climate and lifestyle I would like to live. And of course, some of my values are universal, but some of you might want to live in a different way. And the whole idea is you get to self-determine and build for, according to your own preferences, what you'd like to experience. Okay. So not a giant galactic, positive, benevolent invasion or anything else telling you what to do. And you should jump up and down and say like, hooray, because you're going to customize it in the way that you want. But that also really means like you have to be very self-motivated. And here's the key point that I'm bringing up, very focused on what you would like to experience. So I told you I already have a little bit of a advantage because I'm very self-focused and I already know what I'm here to be doing. My art, my music, my dance, and being a warrior is making lemonade activity out of the lemons of life that we have all been under for the past 5 years. Some of you might never have developed your identity to know what you're actually supposed to be doing in life. And now you have to construct yourself. I will not be constructing yourself. You must construct yourself. And maybe some of you have to construct yourself from first principles, as if you've never explored, as if you don't know who you are, as if you don't know what is your favorite food or what is your favorite dress or how do you want to spend your time during your day, especially if you have lost yourself or lost focus of your soul or lost your true desires or been so compromised for so long that you might not remember or remember the flavor of what it's like when you're seeking your own fulfillment in life. So you must return to that. And this is challenging. Like I know one person who's a very good person, but she's always since 16 years old been working as a nurse, taking care of other people, sustaining herself in life, but has a deep creativity and never up until this point had a chance to explore, music or creating some kind of craft item with her hands. And I know that that's big and she wants to do that. So each one of you is going to have to advocate for yourself to be like, what's important? I need to do this. And I never got a chance to do this. And I'm here to do it now. And this also speaks to the sense of you're not just going to dispose of your lives. Like the wicked and evil, organisms and or organizations here will wither and go away. And you will remain. And you will remain and be given extra life force and be able to be here. And then you will want to build and construct your ideal self and your ideal life. Some of that is self-construction, and some of that is the opportunity to explore who you are really supposed to be and what is genuinely important to you. Okay, wait, let me get through the rest of my bullet points of what are for today. Okay. Okay, and this is another one. The expectation of getting onto the path of light and transcending evil by just kind of like jumping out of the screwed up level of reality, like get into the path of light, and then everything that's screwed up just kind of like stays irrelevant and to the periphery is not acceptable, because that means that you're still exiting a messed up world, focusing and refining yourself and going into a perfect world, but the messed up place still exists. And this messed up world has been an ego trap that is very unjust. And we don't want it to exist as another danger that soul energy can come into at another time. If you see that there is a trap, like if you're a wild animal and you're going through the forest and there's a trap, and you're like, okay, my paw did not get stuck in there. I'm going off on my journey. But then another beautiful animal can come along and get stuck in there, and their, paw gets injured and they can't be free. We don't want that to happen with any more souls. So we need to resolve whatever is the soul cage or the ego trap that humanity has been subjected to, and make sure that other souls do not get stuck in here. It is truthful that when you kind of click into position and you align yourself and your light body perfectly with the path of light, you're at the moment of light speed, and everything else becomes obsolete or irrelevant. That is absolutely truthful. But it's not meant to be an escapism or a denial or an abnegation of the existence of the screwed up stuff that needs to go out of reality. I've always felt that non-confrontational approach is inadequate. Kind of like just turn your attention away from it and it will hopefully all just melt away. But then will it all come back if I put my attention back on it? It is really essential, like any horror movie with the boogeyman, that you know that whoever, Chucky or Freddy Krueger, is really dead, that the soul trap is genuinely resolved, that you and others aren't just going to continually repeat these patterns. And when I say that, I know that there's a sense of inner profound relief because I'm telepathic. I'm feeling you guys. You're like, yes, Aurora, we don't want to do these crappy patterns ever again. This is big and important. And that is also like, don't take the easy route. It would be very easy to just be like, da-da, path of light. And now all this other stuff, let's just pretend it all away. That's very facile. And we don't want to just do what is easy and then have a problem again. Let's really confront and resolve this stuff. And so that means definitely looking at whatever is this hijacked creative principle from the power center of the pyramid, anything that distorted human manifestation and creative capability, anything that created Satanism here, and then the proliferation of, satanic energy here, end it in this world, end it in this realm, so that way it does not proliferate onward into the next chapter or next layer of reality. Okay, so, and here's what I also say: you must purge Earth of the entirety of evil, and then you can be in real freedom. And you haven't, and that's something that you haven't yet attained through your whole existence. So please know that although you might remember being in Christ, like I do, the Christ network that is now in question, that Christ network existed in a flawed reality. I remember where I came from before coming here as Flying Rainbow Lasagna, a world of turmoil, not a perfect higher dimensional world, not floating on a cloud, eating interdimensional strawberries and whipped cream, like not a perfect exalted life, complex problems at the higher levels and problems at this level too. So in the inadequacy of cosmic law enforcement from that level of reality, then you have whatever turmoil of the past 5 years. You have to have a new experience. And then my words didn't even say this. So you have not yet, up until this point, even experienced what it is like to live in a pristine world, because cosmic law enforcement has always been efforting to clean up, but not having fully cleaned that stuff up. So you have to start to imagine what it will be like to live in a galaxy that is not full of criminals and crime-ridden. This experience on the planet has made that happen because of, read my comic book, the founder squandering the resources of the entire satanic empire across the entire galaxy in order to do folly on this planet, wasting all of those resources and then going bankrupt. So that's a positive thing. Negatively, you don't know if Christ exists or if Christ has been deformed or mutilated, and that's a great loss, and there's a lot of grief. And same thing with being distanced from true galactic brethren and civilization. But on the plus side, the dark side has lost a lot. They had technological infrastructure, like you would think of it like Star Wars level of battle stars, Battlestar Galactica, that type of stuff. Flotillas out there in the world. They don't have their flotillas anymore. And beaming stuff through Saturn or beaming stuff through different infrastructure, frequency infrastructure for evil throughout different places in the world. Like, they don't have that anymore. And that's a very, very positive thing for you guys to know. So even in the past, there was a distinction between those of us who travel on pure light, the stellar network, versus those aliens or extraterrestrials who use clank metal spaceships. You're gonna wipe out and clear the galaxy of all clank metal spaceships, so that way your consciousness can genuinely be free to expand. And this is something that you haven't experienced up until this point. So you can't expect to meet and interact with or be helped by benign galactic civilizations, and also you're not going to have to deal with the very evil and profoundly corrupt technology users either. And you're going to resolve that here before you even really get like your blindfold taken away. You're doing that work right now. So by the time you actually can see the rest of the galaxy, you've already cleaned up a lot of this very entrenched evil. All right. And also, so here's another thing. I have to convey this to you effectively. You're trying to change your mind and envision what life would be like on this planet without technology. And it requires a huge amount of growth of your soul to be like, well, I'm not going to get my news from watching the TV. I'm going to get my news from talking to the sun. And I'm not going to talk to people through the phone. I'm going to talk to people and plants through my mind. And I'm not going to go to the grocery store to eat physical food. I'm going to get my light and my energy from like the sun and the earth and frequency and crystals. Like you're moving into a post-rational and post-materialistic state. And you're not going to use any levels of technology in order to do that. Not only that, but you have to start thinking about protecting the world from technology that can arise. That it's your job not only to live without technology, but also to mentally reach out and assess anything that's happening in the galaxy and be like, is there any technology that's being invented today? Because if there is, I'm going to wipe it out because this is something that you can't allow to come forward, kind of like the way you clean your bathroom. You're like, let's wipe this out, get rid of this mold before it begins, vinegar on everything. You're going to have to vinegar the galaxy to make sure that technology does not arise again. And you have to treat it like an infection. Like, are there mold spores? Are there technology spores? And you have to prevent that from happening. These are all things that have been amiss. If you don't clean your bathroom, you're going to get mold and other stuff. Like someone has not been vinegaring this galaxy. And you will do other things too that involve genetic capabilities. Like you have to become literate to be able to see these things in your genes, but you're also going to vinegar genetic code, keep things clean on that level too. Okay. So far from what you I'm not saying it correctly. There might have been a proposal to tolerate the parallel existence of technology or cultures that use technology. You're like, oh, you do you, I do me. I'm going to fly over here on wings of pure light, but you can use a planet-like metal spaceship if you want to. This is a non-starter. You're not going to do that. You once did that, but you're not going to do that anymore. Now what you're going to do is not tolerate the parallel existence of lower forms of life that are elevating and empowering themselves by using technology. You got to stop that from happening. And the lower forms of life empowering themselves with technology is exactly analogous to lower forms of life empowering themselves with the technology that's known as government bureaucracy or money. And both of those things aren't the same as like a machine, but they act like machines, and they've been the rods and levers of your world, and you've been familiar with them. You need to wipe out all of that form of technology too. Okay, so I have questions that I'm going to get for things that I promised I would answer, but then also I want to make sure that I look at everything here because there's 27 things to read while it's still relevant. And I know that I make the craziest faces while I focus and try to read stuff. Okay, good. Kim Rose, again, affirming, very happy that it's a life-changing outlook to hear that you're going to be running your own stuff. And I'm very, very happy. That is the most joyous response you can possibly have. Okay, this is also quite wonderful. So Suzica shares with us that she's lost 42 pounds since last July, and that she's hoping that it will help her with whatever is coming, and also as she loses more to practice the Flying Rainbow Lasagna dance. So that is very, very wonderful in the sense of releasing 42 pounds of undigested emotional experience. You guys have to understand, I'm celebrating that Suzica is literally not carrying around like that level of emotional baggage or like energy strewn on the highway of time. She's pulled herself back together and is now a more focused and essential version of herself. So that is amazing. It will absolutely help you in whatever is coming. So let me go into this. What are the things that will help you in the interim between now and the time when we are completely beyond all technology and that we are completely in our natural presence? Anything that helps your physical cellular structure to be more healthy and more vital. So, you know, I'm all about being natural, but I use things like my red light, my red chicken light, you know, different things to supplements or, you know, creams for my body. Like, I want you guys to know you don't have to raw dog it. You can use stuff to make your life better until you can generate your own inner energy. And so some of the things I use, like high doses of vitamin C, the red light, whatever, collagen, or, you know, drinking bone broth or something like that, like good things that are good for your body. So invest in your body. That's what I'm trying to say to you. The things that will help you and Suzica and everyone else in this world are things that sustain your body and also things that help you to remove pollution in your body. So things that help to remove microplastics and lead and mercury and cadmium So what is the problem with that? Light comes into your body through your skin, right? When you are in the sun, the light flows through the outer levels of your epidermis and then has to go through your subcutaneous fats to get into your body. And fats is where the body stores like heavy metals. When you don't know in your body what to do with stuff, your body sticks it into fat storage. And so that can be like maybe you were behind a truck on the highway and it was giving like lead in the exhaust fumes into your face. And your body's like, I don't know what to do with this. Stick it in some fat somewhere. So you've got lead, whatever, stuck in your ass somewhere. Gotta purge that stuff because that's the stuff that comes between you and light. Got it? The fats have heavy metals in them that prevents the light, literally optical light, from coming through you. So things that help you to clear out and purge those heavy metals and purge your fats. And if you're not sure how to do it or what to do in your own body, things that help to move your lymph, which is like, gentle lymph massage, but also things that help you to get stuff out of fat storage. I'm not really a person who fasts, but fasting does help with that. Intermittent fasting helps with that. But what I do is, I'm doing it right now, cardio. This is what helps get fat and fat storage stuff out of storage. So if you want to know, like, how do I get closer to the world of light? Do a bunch of cardio. And this is the purpose of pilgrimage. When people walk a lot or bicycle a lot or run a lot, like you are getting closer to the light by reducing the obstacles between you and the world of pure light. Let me think, what are some of the other things that people can do? I won't get into it right now. Like there are a lot of things, but basically like reducing the amount of false light that people are exposed to. And that can be from so many different places. Like it's media, it's television and movies, but it's also religious propaganda. It's bureaucratic propaganda. It's sometimes conversations with other family members or community members, but just false light also is a impediment to connecting to the world of pure light. And then there's emotional drama, which is stuff that is just the detritus and turmoil of people who are not weathering life's storms very well. And there's always going to be emotional trauma. And I will tell you some of the most anti-lasagna things are just the burdens of other people's ups and downs. And you should care about people, but you should not let them destabilize your lasagna, because lasagna is how you fix all of the stuff that is making people feel emotionally disrupted. So if I'm on a phone call with someone and they're telling me for 2 hours how emotionally disrupted they are, when I hang up, the last thing I feel is like lasagna, because I feel like they just drained me and I became all part of their unhappiness and their drama. So having very, very secure boundaries about taking on other people's unhappiness or their lack of fulfillment or their drama is going to help each one of you connect to the world of light and do the lasagna. So lasagna, again, is not sociopathic, like this disassociation, like, I don't care about you, you're not real people. You care, and they're real people. But what you got to do is say this: best way I can help these real people is by disengaging from them and their ups and downs and problems and everything like that, and doing my lasagna dance. And then when you go into that higher dimensional state, you do the dance. That's how you really serve your community. That's how you really express care. And then when you come back into reality, then you have changed and shifted things, especially the things that you care about in people's lives. So I would say, I don't want people to not pray or throw the Bible out the window or go away from their faith or whatever. What I would want for you to do is get to the next level, which is to lasagna about the difficulties that you experience. And lasagna is not like, oh, everybody's driving me crazy, and now I have to do the lasagna as another chore to like fix their lives. That is not my approach at all. I'm like this, the world is screwed up and people are driving me crazy. I'm going to put on awesome music. I'm going to put on my headphones. I'm going to stretch out my body, and I'm going to act as an individual and change and transform the fabric of reality and send out something better. And then I know that I'm having a real impact on their life. But this is very different. Like this type of lasagna activity is indirect. I'm not really trying to like reach into someone else's life and, turn the knobs and change things in them. It is benevolent and has an impact, but I don't always know what the impact is. Sometimes I am surprised when I see what happens post lasagna. I'm like, oh, the situation changed. I didn't know that would happen, but things change and improve. So I'm going to, recognition and praise flows to you, Suzuka. I would like for you to keep going. Whatever you're doing is great. Keep doing what you're doing. And also, I would genuinely encourage you and anyone else who watches my class, like, do the dance. And I would say any time is the right time. no matter what your body is shaped like or where you are in your athleticism, that is the starting point. And you begin, and then from that beginning, you gain more capability and more joy and more freedom of movement. But it's good to start someplace. So I'm going to encourage you to start. Okay, Chris says, yes, having individuals with integrity and fairness understanding is important. Chris, I know that that is your hallmark. You are the referee and you are here to help us have justice and to I should say better, to exemplify enforcement of justice in this world. Chris also says, what I noticed about the FRL dance is you need strong hip flexors, especially when our sacral and creative sexual energy comes from. Absolutely. So a lot of the warm-ups that I teach everyone is about torso muscles, all of the things that help hold your torso together. And that also, it helps to reduce back pain. And a lot of the actions in the dance are about the torsion that happens when you twist. And you don't want to stress your back when you're doing that. So all of these muscles help you to be able to do that. But if you guys have done any level of calisthenics or gymnastics, the real essence at being able to do some of these advanced moves is the hip flexors, because that's like your abdomen from below your navel and the muscles that help you to be able to jump and run and have that like explosive type of energy. These are the muscles that you all need to cultivate. And it's actually difficult to cultivate the exercises that isolate those particular muscles. So the things that are going to help you are things that are, again, running, walking, and some jumping and some aspects of ballet, but to cultivate those muscles, it's really going to help you a lot. Okay, Kim says, are the big geopolitical moves right now even real? Iran, Venezuela, Greenland? Okay, so what a great question. I'm so pleased to speak about this. Okay, so I'm doing a lot of things behind the scenes, and you have to take the visible news with a lot of skepticism. There are some things that are genuinely happening. Some things are non-events that are being generated as if by a movie scenario. There was, nothing that actually happened, but just narratives were deployed and imagery was created that made people believe in those narratives. So let me drink here. Venezuela did actually happen, but not as it is portrayed. The United States government is largely gone. Read my comic book. But the military and those who created the hydrogels and the control center, they are still somewhat empowered, and I keep chipping away. So what you have in the United States right now is more of what you would call like a military junta, non-controlled self-starter group of really pirates who have taken over. They don't have overseers and masters. And the United States is also very broke and bankrupt, but so is China, and so is Russia, and so are a lot of other countries. So when you're witnessing this move away from the dollar, you're not just witnessing the fall of the dollar and the rise of China or the rise of Russia or the rise of India. You're really witnessing the fall of all of the fraudulent money system. Key important stuff. The United States military didn't have enough money to pay itself in December. Some fat ass billionaire had to come forward and write a check and give it to the government. At first, they kept it secret because their poor military had to like get on food stamps and they couldn't afford enough money to buy their cat food or whatever, which is a lie because you have to know that the military has also been living in the nicest houses and going on yacht cruises to St. Bart's. All right. So you want to think that the military is just like these poor guys with barely, whatever, they're living in bunkers and they have barely enough money to, pay for their army uniforms. No, please know that that is not truthful. The army has, or military, co-opted an enormous amount of resources from your world. So the United States military is like, hey, we're broke. We don't have enough money. And we're going to go raid this company. No one is reining us in. So Trump is not in charge. Congress is not in charge. And the military is like, we're going to go fuck shit up in Venezuela. They've got a lot of silver and we can also steal their Bitcoin too. So they went in there and you do not get the real truth of what that raid was like. Although imagery was disseminated and stories were disseminated, you do not know what actually happened there. It's interesting the rumors that were portrayed because they did talk about the use of high energy frequency weapons, melting some of the foes from the United States in implication that hydrogel and super soldiers were activated there. But you can't believe in all those rumors. And then pictures of the soldiers who were killed returning home in tiny shoeboxes this size because their bodies were all that badly mutilated or whatever. Can't believe in that. You have to say that's the official story. What is truthful is that like there were visible explosions and there were things that happened there, but you don't know what actually created those explosions or how that actually happened. The leader of Venezuela was taken into custody. He has the seed phrases and access codes to the Bitcoin, and this is part of why he was taken alive instead of just summarily executed. And he has been somewhat negotiating his presence in the world by giving over the information to his country's Bitcoin. But the key thing that you have to understand is that the military, as pirates and robbers, simply took the silver of Venezuela and they took it for themselves. And they took it to restore their own coffers to be able to pay their own people. I don't know exactly how this happens at the level of nation states. Like, are they going to take that silver and like put it on a boat and bring it to Washington, D.C.? Do all of the soldiers get together and be like, okay, here's one bar for you, here's one bar for you? I do not know, but I do know that this is, through my intuition, this is what has happened. And I also know that the actions of Venezuela represent like what happens when a military is uncontrolled. Militaries like this, they are not genuinely intelligent and they are not genuinely powerful, but they can just shoot people and get stuff done by shooting things. But there's a limited amount that you can get done in the world by just brandishing a gun and shooting people. You know that there are other levels of negotiation and finesse that actually have to happen. So the military is not actually powerful as like a power broker. And also, the military went in there and raided the country for silver, and that's really only enough for them to pay the military for a little while. Like a drug addict, you get a little bit and then you're going to need more in a little while. So they're going to need more in a little while, and they're already planning like, where can we get the next stuff from? So you also have to know that the United States is not really in control of the military as it relates to the events in Iran, and that all of the events in Iran are also largely propagandized. What is positive about the information that has come out of the events in Iran is that we've recognized that the Starlink satellite system is not unilaterally powerful. The hydrogel soldiers run on and require the Starlink satellite system. The Starlink satellite system is a contract with and runs under the umbrella of the United States military, not other militaries. So Elon Musk works for the United States. Elon Musk made the Starlink satellite for the United States military. Making the Starlink satellite meant that the flying black Dorito shaped B-2 bomber, or whatever it's named, I want to say whatever the fuck it's named, that thing is now irrelevant. It used to be called the stealth bomber because before the satellite system, that plane was invisible to radar. But once Elon Musk put up the satellite system, that plane was no longer invisible to radar. And that means that the United States Army lost a tactical advantage to the rest of the world. This is all like 5 senses reality type of stuff. So the Army had to be like, okay, we don't have this fancy technology anymore, so we can show it at air shows. But we have something better, which is we have Starlink that runs our hydrogel soldiers, which is secret, secret, secret. No one knows about that. And also, controls the flow of information in some of these countries where CIA and United States and some other allies around the world is trying to foster regime change, which means basically you don't get self-determination and we're going to put the people in charge that we want to be in charge. And so what happened in Iran was actually a glorious, spectacular failure of Elon Musk, Starlink, United States, and Israel, and their embedded spies that were in Iran for a very, very long amount of time, that they lost their tactical advantage because the Iranian government turned off all of the internet there. And then Starlink was the only thing that was active by the embedded agents who were using it there. And the Iranian government used that as an opportunity to track down everyone who is embedded agent. And they also used key point frequency jamming technology. So we have not had access to this, but it does exist. And it should make you feel happy because this 5G stuff, it is harming you. 5G has been harming you and taking you away from your innate divine connection. 5G, read my comic book, has been elevating these super soldiers, and it is the platform upon which their W-ban harmful psychic warfare runs. If you can get Starlink jammed, it means the hydrogel soldiers are incapacitated. They can't melt your brains or do whatever they have been doing. They can't do voice to skull. They can't go into your spine or try to connect to your neurology in some way. And so what happened in Iran was a very, very positive smackdown and destruction of the hydrogel soldiers, hardware and software, and those who run them. When they talk about the Mossad agents, CIA agents, and other fomenters of revolution who were taken captive and they were meant to be executed actually last Wednesday. These are all hydrogel soldiers, people who are barely even human anymore, who are full of technology and who run on beep, 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 the Starlink satellite telling them what to do. When they got their connection cut, they got their powers removed. So this is actually very, very positive for you to know, because the hydrogel soldiers are not unilaterally powerful. They are not unilaterally supported. They have huge vulnerabilities because their software goes down, they go down. And the military people that are in the United States are very disappointed because they're like, this is crap. Like when you get a Tesla and then it runs out of juice and the software doesn't update and you're stuck on the side of the road, you're like, this is not a good car. This is software junk. And that's what they found out with their Starlink hydrogel soldiers. It's not a good weapon. It's just software junk. So that's very, very positive information for all of us. Please also let me predicate and contextualize this by saying, although I celebrate that a bunch of hydrogel soldiers and their, system failed. This is not a condonement of the Iranian regime, because they're also fucking evil too. So the United States, they're a bunch of satanic ass fuckers. They're really evil. The Iranians are also super evil. So I don't want them to come to supremacy and be like, hooray, we will now run the world, because they're also not good people. But they treat women really terribly. They have a lot of other like profound dysfunctions in their civilization, or culture. One of the good things, though, is that they are not a Rothschild-centered central bank. And this is also part of why they are demonized by the central bank-controlled people in the world. But believe me, no, the Iranians are very bad, and they have their own violence problems, and they are not good people, but also, it's not a clear power directive. And then what you hear about what's actually happening there is not truthful. You're getting total propaganda around the whole entire world. No one is really getting real information about what's happening there. And then this does very much relate to what is happening in the country that has blue and white striped flag. I'm not going to say their name, not because I'm not afraid to talk about it, but because a couple of times I said their name and the sound card of my computer got assaulted and blew out the circuit of my wall. So I don't have enough money to buy a new computer. So we'll just call it the blue and white flag country. With that blue and white flag country, it is losing all of its spiritual supremacy. Spiritual is not the word, but it had a huge victim baggage consciousness manipulation. It had a huge amount of goodwill with the world because of its victim consciousness. And the rest of the world is now completely over this. No more victim consciousness and poor you, poor, poor you attitude towards this country that has a blue and white flag. No, now total responsibility. Like none of that victim self-pitying consciousness works at all. And all of that has been squandered. And that very much relates to the purported events that are going on in Iran. But please know you will not get the silly old country that's got a blue and white flag. They're not going to irradiate the entire Middle East and melt everyone with nuclear bombs. That's their final penis explosion, like the extinction explosion. They're like, wow, and if you don't do this, then I'm going to do this with my giant, penile bombs. And that's not going to happen. And there's also been other, not only of like ICBMs or something like that, but the country with blue and white flags has implied that the horrible sculptor Louise Bourgeois, if you want to see some bad art, look up this artist. Louise Bourgeois created these spider sculptures that were installed all around the world and that they supposedly contained mini nukes. They were a gift from this wonderful country with the blue and white flags, and that if they don't get their way, that they're gonna again explode the world or melt someone's energy with this bad radioactive action. Please know that those will not happen. Those potentials or narratives will not happen. So, of course, I do a lot of things with destroying circuitry, melting circuits. I do more than just abstract things on a flying rainbow lasagna level, but I know a bunch of other psychic warriors who have acted against these installed dirty bombs in different places. So you're not going to get that. But this is also like what I'm talking about now. This is a lot of human drama and human dynamics. Like there's stuff that can drag you down. That's like he said, she said, crappy stuff between people in your life or in your office. But there's also stuff with lasagna that can drag you down that is stupid. He said, she said stuff between Iran and Israel. And it can drag you down. It can bring you out of your lasagna exalted mind state. And if you let them, they would fuck up the whole entire world. So you can't let them. Okay. And Greenland is also a ridiculous narrative. And I've heard these things described as Babylonian politics. And I think that that is a good descriptor. Like, I think that that's accurate. Most of these things are not interesting gyrations that are happening in the world around us. And there seems to be a responsible obligation to train your attention on them because you think you got to know what's going on in the news, because you think that that makes you a responsible person. I think at this point is largely subjecting yourself to a tax of false light, not genuine information. So I'm aware of these things. I have huge shielding when I go on social media and read these things. I'm like, this is now wading in bullshit. I'm not believing any of this stuff. Be like me. Don't believe in any of this stuff when you start to read what is happening or supposed rumors about things that are happening in the world. You're not getting the real story at all. And it is a bunch of ridiculous gyrations. And so what you should know is that President Trump is like mentally melted, like not naturally experiencing dementia, but his cognitive abilities are extremely diminished. And he is not thinking clearly. And there are also, there's so much for me to talk about. I think we have enough hours to do it. Many public figures, but not President Trump. He is still a physically corporeal person, but just with severely diminished mental capacity. But so I've destroyed a lot of dark magicians and their ability to manipulate reality. Trump is one of those dark magicians. He is not good. He never was good. And he had one of these nerve plexuses that justified him manipulating the world. But please know that at a certain point, he betrayed humanity. You had given a lot of social energy and magical energy was harvested in consent to support him in the efforts he was doing. Like he's your champion and he is fighting supposedly for you. This year, actually last year, at the end of last year, right around the time that Charlie Kirk was assassinated, Trump made a decision to completely betray you. And it was at the same magnitude and same profundity when he made the decision to betray you by inoculating all of you with experimental mRNA vaccine technology. Same type of thing. Back then, he was like, oh, well, at least it's not a shooting war. At least you don't have Chinese bullets flying in your face. Who cares? You get a bunch of nanotech in your blood. You're still going to be alive, right? When you know that that's not true, it's a horrible assault on your soul, killed a lot of people, destroyed the fabric of reality, threatened your genetics and your futures in every way, like not a good thing at all. Profoundly evil that he did that. And he was about to do a similar thing where he was going to betray you to whatever is the next negative narrative that you would experience. I stood between you guys and that negative narrative. It was very much like a totalitarian religious mania type of narrative. And so this is fictionally, of course. So at the Charlie Kirk Memorial, this was on 9/11, not the one with pyrotechnics, the one right after his death. President Trump is there with his wife, and they're on camera and they're supposedly mourning the lost people from 9/11 from decades ago, but then also Charlie Kirk from just yesterday, and half of Trump's face slumps and he like has an obvious whatever infarction or something like that. And I was really trying, like fictionally, like have him not be in reality anymore. But it just melted part of his brain. So I was really trying to melt the whole brain, but I only got part of his brain. But that's the part of the brain that connects these dark magicians to the structure of reality. what I was really trying to do against him and many others, he's just the one that happened to be on camera that day, was to remove their connection through their nerve plexus to the ability to affect reality. And so that that way they would not be justifying and self-elevating themselves at the expense of the rest of humanity. So what you should know is that that was a devastating mental injury and capability reduction from Trump, because in the world of dark magic, like if you can't make spells and make things happen, like you have no respect. So his esteem went down a lot amongst the other dark magicians, and I've been consistently fighting against all of them to do the similar things to them. And that's why these actions in Iran and Venezuela and these other proposed actions have been largely five senses material stuff, not supernatural. What you guys need to know is that I have pretty much destroyed the dark magic ability, dark magician's ability to manipulate reality through supernatural stuff. And this also has to do with my, confrontation of the energy of the Shekinah. I'm like, no, you're not going to take this energy of this battery and use it to make bad things happen anymore. So they can't just do their old tricks. The evil magicians can't just do their old tricks, which would be have World War III, sacrifice millions of people, and get some money as a result. That's not happening. And so they are having to recalibrate. People like President Trump have to recontextualize their whole identity and sense of self, because they have been told since a young age, like, you're better than other people and you can make stuff happen. And now I'm not better than other people and you can't make shit happen, and nobody believes in or supports you anymore. So that's the change from September of last year to where we are right now. So when President Trump comes forward and says things like, oh, I'm going to purchase Greenland, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that, some of it is raving. Like some of it he is just stark raving. And some of it is things that he would like to do if he had his magical powers. And some of it is bluster and manipulation. Some of it is outright propaganda. A lot of people who are supposedly alive are not really alive. They are just being presented to you as the reality continuity club is keeping them, quote unquote, alive. And that's people like Elon Musk and Peter Thiel and Sam Altman. And part of what President Trump was ready to betray you on is some kind of like digital fuckery, some kind of upload, transhumanist data centers upload. And I'm fighting against all of that. So he was not really a champion for any of you. He has betrayed you profoundly. And at this point, like, you don't want him to be in power, but also he is a piece of the Jenga tower of the worldwide power structure. And you don't simply want to remove him with leaving a power vacuum. So you want to get rid of all these guys. I'll also tell you, China leader, the guy's name is XIZ. He is not in existence anymore either, and hasn't been since last July. But he has the reality continuation committee around him being like, President Z is still here. Let's go negotiate with him. We're going to get through the tariff negotiations. This guy hasn't been alive for, it's weekend at Bernie's. Weekend at President Z's house. This is what's going on. And many other world leaders who are figureheads, literally, at this point, and just have a team or a community that is portraying them to the world. So they're corporate figureheads and political bureaucratic figureheads and even military leaders who aren't actually in existence anymore, and they're being portrayed as if they actually exist. So you guys now, you're like the remnants of humanity, you have to deploy utter skepticism, and you also have to shield yourself from the false nerve plexus of the old ones that said that they were more powerful than you. You guys actually are more powerful at this point, and also you are the majority at this point, because it used to be that it was like 89% them and 11% you, but a lot of them have gone bye-bye for various different reasons. And now at a certain point, it was kind of equal. You had equal amounts of you and them. Now there are more of you and less of them. And your voices are louder, and you're having much more of an impact directly on the creation of reality structures. So Suzik says, giving classes like your last one helps us to realign. It helped me. I think the knowledge was already in me, but I felt sort of ancient and out of my reach, lost in the onslaught of this world and its distortions. Thank you for that description, Suzuka. Everything that I say about these things is meant to bring you back to that truth inside of you. Like, hopefully I am articulating things that are forbidden or maybe forgotten or buried knowledge inside of you, or giving you a viewpoint that you didn't have the authority to envision, but that when it's given to you, like, that's it. That's the thing. That's the missing ingredient that I've been trying to understand or comprehend the whole time. then once you get that missing ingredient, like then you're not able to be fooled. It's only when people don't have that information that they will believe any of these lies or agreements, agree to any of these agreements. So you're not going to agree to any agreements about President Trump or any of these fat asses being powerful because you now know that they have had their nerve plexuses removed and now they're just echoing and going through their previous gyrations. So they need to stop. You need to stop the echo of them and now start a new song, which is where you are powerful and you make things happen. Joyce says the pedoparasitical powers that will call us useless eaters. You understand completely. So the pedoparasites, those are satanic in their genetics and satanist in their, worship or negative behavior, like their crimes. And absolutely, they looked at the world population as necessary consumers. Like somebody's got to buy these cars, somebody's got to pay these taxes or whatever. So you're looked at as a necessity and a mild inconvenience. But it is completely the opposite. Like Henry Kissinger is the one who famously called you useless eaters. He was the parasite. He was a completely evil loser. And he's one of those people that would like to go down the highway of time without facing the red clipboard of the things that you've done wrong. But he's facing the red clipboard. He did not go forward. He had to face the red clipboard. Chris says, yes, old technologies and bad math of compound interest. Completely. So one of the things about Iran is that their non-Rothschild bank doesn't use interest. And I think that is a positive thing. But again, I'm not condoning there are very many other, evils in their society. But interest and compound interest is completely devilish or satanic or very, very anti-life. Kim Rose says, regarding self-cultivation, I have been considering going back to school for a master's degree in counseling psychology. I hesitate because of the cost. Even though student loans are available, would it be wise to take money from the federal government to do this? Also, to become a therapist, you have to take state board tests and do all the things the government requires. I just want to do meaningful work, but I don't want to waste my life force or get trapped in a system that doesn't work. I think that you should really reconsider, Kim Rose, about doing any type of loan or achieving any more debt at this moment in human society. Because some people would be like, well, like you're at the end of human society, like run up those credit cards, girl, go shopping, get all the debt that you possibly can, which might have worked in other times, but you're in this time right now where you're going to have to pay no matter what. Like you're going to have to face responsibility for all the things that people have done. So please know, like in people's bodies, like let's say a person got a tattoo. They're like, here's my cool tattoo. And then you ascend, you're in you're ascending, you're in your light body. You're like, that was stupid. I put poison into my body. I need to clear this out now. Like everybody's going to have to take responsibility for all of their bad choices, like to get bad tattoos or whatever, right? So let's talk about debt as like getting a tattoo. Student loan debt is not good. And I think it's been a terrible idea that has been foisted upon young people for like a long amount of time. And the structure of the loan is fucking evil because like basically you're going to be in debt your whole life. And it puts a weight so that you can't actually rise higher. So I would really say to you with the honesty of my heart, really reconsider any form of extra education if it requires you going into debt in order to experience it, because I think a lot of this debt is a soul trap that keeps people from being able to be free and to make really like exalted choices, that they make choices that are out of necessity, but not out of a true joy of what they would like to do. So super yellow caution flags on going into debt, but then also super yellow caution flags on being in the medical industry, being a type of person who can take payment from insurance companies, because I know that is considered like a good thing. Like I'm going to get clients and their insurance covers their blah, blah, blahs. But then you have to do like diagnosis according to the official paperwork. What's this patient's diagnosis? And do I take this client with insurance or do I not take this client with insurance? Medical billing. And all of the administration of that, you'll probably have to like hire someone or achieve some expertise to be able to do that. It can take you far away from your genuine and valid good desire to actually help people. That when people get in the system and they can get paid by insurance, they spend so much amount of time doing the paperwork, diagnosing, justifying the time and effort, and they are not focused on the actual helping of people. So I would say I applaud your inner motivation to want to help people. I would encourage you to find maybe a different path that doesn't involve you being able to go into debt and also doesn't require that you conform to the standards of a very, very flawed psychology system. And there's definitely ways that you can help people and be a mentor, be a guide, be an inspirer, be a helper to people in their life. And I think you should do that. But I would say maybe a different path and, reconsider, or if there's not a path, flying your lasagna, make a path that suits you and who you are in the world. Because I think like this thing of doing things in a certain way is very cookie cutter. Is very a template that maybe worked for other people in another time and place that I don't think necessarily works in this time and place. So you can put forward your desires like to the cosmic infrastructure. You can say like, I'm Kim Rose and I want to do this and I want to do this and I want to do this, and then like put that forward as your requests and requirements for your future, and then see if there's a way to be able to do it without compromising on these other levels. And I'll also say that if you have a desire to help people, it's because people are out there that need that help from you, and you should follow it. Like if you have a desire to grow vegetables, like someone out there is hungry for those vegetables, or knit a sweater, like someone else is wanting that sweater. So if you have these desires, you should follow these desires. Don't let me stop you from following your dream, but maybe modify the dream and optimize it so that it's genuinely the thing that is right for you. Aurelia says, I've noticed too that telepathy is built just like the same way a relationship is, with genuine mutual resonance and care. Aurelia, that is how real telepathy is supposed to be. And most people have never had a genuine relationship of real, like, like trust and, hold on a moment, a non-exploitive relationship where you give as much as you get and the other person respects you. Like most people don't even have that in business. Most people are always getting taken advantage of in some way. So it's the essence of what real telepathy is. And that even comes down to, is it a good moment? Like when I talk with people on the phone, I always call them up. I'm like, hi, it's me, Aurora. They're like, I know, I recognize your voice. But I'm like, I know, but I don't recognize people's voices. So I tell you who I am. And then I always say, is it a good time to talk? Because I recognize like, whatever, maybe you're busy or you have to go to the toilet. Like it's not always a good time to talk. It is the same thing with telepathy. You have to announce yourself and say, hi, it's me. And then I would like to connect with you. Is it a good moment? And if it's not a good moment, you have to be like, okay, it's not good. Let you do what you need to do. So this idea of constantly being at the mercy of others, like if they want to call or text you, that doesn't exist. And also in a telepathic society, you're not always available to others, and you're not personally sad if someone is not available. You're just like, oh, okay, we'll talk another time. Like, see you later, talk another time. There's not this heaviness or judgment with social stuff. All that social stuff is actually dark magic. I've told you this before. Like when people are starting to feel like, I'm feeling great about myself, I like who I am, and then other people are like, no, you're a bad person, your energy kind of goes down. That's all dark magic. So imagine what the world is like also when you feel genuinely good about yourself and feel good about the boundaries that you set. So if someone else is like, hey, can I be telepathic with you right now? You're like, no. The other person doesn't make you feel bad. You're like, okay, see you later. And you go on feeling good about yourself because none of these Seinfeldian, requirements are going on. Okay, so Martine says, if you are a loving presence, good people feel they are invited to share themselves. Absolutely. And you're getting to the foundational truth of you do get what you give in life. And in this world, you've had the distortions of dark magic and the distortions of whatever wish-fulfilling evil Shekinah has been here, so that sometimes you see evil prospering, or you sometimes see, whatever goodness is not always rewarded. The whole idea of transforming and rebalancing the world is that when you send out good things, other people are good and they're aligning with those good things. The words don't really speak to the profoundness of it, but you do get what you give in life. Many people are disappointed because they were in a non-pristine system. They gave a lot of goodness and it didn't benefit them. And so then they are traumatized. But when you get past that trauma and disappointment and you're like, that was a different time and try it again now because things are different now, then you will actually see that it works. So I am here to help make that function happen again. Yes. All right, Mary Ellen is excited. She says, so excited. Good. And she also says, good. I hate technology. Good. I do too. I hate it. Every time I'm writing an email, let me just vent. Like I haven't ranted enough with you guys, but like, okay, I go to write an email and the person's name doesn't come up. And I know that they're in there. I'm like, I write the person's name and it doesn't come up. I'm like, stupid email. And then I go to type things out and the words come out, the letters come out completely jumbled, even though I know that I typed them in the correct order. And I'm like, this is the nonsense. It is intentionally badly constructed technology. That's like food that tastes bad on purpose. And you have a lot of that in the world too. It's easy to give this up. Maybe we should celebrate and be like, thank God this technology works so badly. I will not miss it at all. I will not miss the stupid autocorrect. Then can I actually even communicate effectively on the phone to people? I will not miss any of these things. And Aurelia agrees as well. Chris says, yes, I totally am sensing a transitional phase happening to like a gateway. Yes. So when you go through these transitional phases, you also have to be very focused on what you would like to experience. So some of you are very blessed because you have a clear sense. You're like, I know who I am. I want to learn to play the guitar and that's all I want to do. That is what you have to focus on the other side because there's going to be a lot of crazy stuff with like, what are humans using for money? How do you buy a guitar? How do you pay your rent? How do you do all these things? Stay focused in your desire to do the thing that is important to you. It's harder for people that don't have that clear desire yet because you have to explore. So you have to say, I don't know exactly who I am yet, but I have to explore who I am. Give me an opportunity. Give me a chance, coach. Give me an opportunity. And you have to advocate for that. Okay. Mary Ellen says, okay. Then because I'm getting really sick now from EMF and LED, I'm glad. Yeah, totally. This is non-negotiable. No longer can we have the most corrupt, inept, and unfeeling humans calibrate for what should be in the world. The most sensitive humans should calibrate, and the most intelligent humans should calibrate. And it doesn't matter if other people can stand 89,000 more parts per million of chemtrail fallout than you can. Like, we should calibrate to the most vulnerable levels of our society. Why would you not? Like, it is inhumane not to, and it speaks a lot to the grossness of the society that we're coming out of. And literally, the grossness is a bunch of corporate fuckface assholes that do know that they are creating a product that harms a certain quotient of society, and they do it anyway. They don't care. They're like, put the red dye in there. It's going to fuck up these people. We don't care because these people over here are stupid and will buy it with the red dye in there. And also, you don't have to do any kind of thing that's like, awaken the masses, get them to advocate for themselves. Like the red dye eaters would keep on eating it until it became personally inconvenient to them. This is why they are in alignment or complicity with the fuckface assholes, because they don't come forward and say, we're the masses and we got to care about the most vulnerable aspects of our society. That's these people over here that can't deal with the chemtrails, the frequencies protect them. They say, hey, I'm a fuckface person and I can eat as much red dye as I care about and it doesn't make my brain explode. I don't care about you vulnerable people. That is a non-starter. You can't be in human society if that is how you care about the most vulnerable people. And you get what you give in life. And if they don't care about you, you should not accommodate them. Now you're getting to like real levels of reciprocity. Okay, so general question from Rebecca says, I'm not sure if this has been addressed before. A lot of new agers or QHHT people say that we completely choose our lives, our families, our problems, and even the moment of our death is known, etc. And this is a giant game. Even the bad guys are just playing a part. What are your thoughts? That is totally invalid and very, very unhelpful disassociation. It makes people who are bad guys say, it's not my fault. I'm just playing a part and I'm lost in the role. To every gross Henry Kissinger, every giant rapist, they're not a bad person. They're just lost in the role. That is really gross because they are genuinely a bad person. And this is also very bad for anyone who is a victim, survivor, experiencer, or a person who is not profoundly evil, because it to think that the world is all just a game takes away from the evilness of villains and also diminishes the true goodness of those of you who are virtuous. If life is just a stupid video game and nothing matters, and there's no, you're basically talking about determinism, not nothing matters, but that all of these things have been predetermined, then your virtue is also not your own. Anything that good that you did was written already by someone else, and you just went through the motions about it. So no, I totally do not agree to any philosophy that is about determinism, not only because it is flawed in its human expression, but because it is flawed on the abstract level that I can actually see on, where I can tell you guys have an enormous amount of self-determination and freedom in not only choosing which timeline you're on, making choices, but also generating new timelines. And that's the essence of Lasagna. So the sense of determinism is a lame-ass excuse that a lot of people use to justify it ain't my fault. And this whole entire world ain't my fault, and also to disassociate by saying it's all just a game. So the QHHT and the New Age stuff that says that is totally secret society, CIA grooming to make people be less powerful. You got it. You totally got it. Absolutely. And I hope that my emphasis is never taken as like a personal attack on the questioner, because I appreciate your question so much. And my emphasis and my agitation is sometimes at I'm angry and inflamed at these I'm acting against these like artificial things. I actually find QHHT to be very dangerous and not positive. I think that it is not pristine, that it is very heavily influenced by the practitioner, and the person who is subjecting themselves to the practitioner is in many ways presenting themselves for violation or other forms of soul abuse. So in the same way that I'm telling you that, it's a lot better when the light energy comes to you and you heal your own physical body. You gain insight and empowerment. Like if you have a problem with your elbow, you got your tennis elbow, all this light comes in from the sun and the stars, and then you fix your elbow, but you don't just fix the muscles and the tendons. You learn, why did you play too much tennis? Or why did you do this or that? Or how was the emotional sense of this? These are things that a healer cannot dictate to you. That self-knowledge, you must find that self-knowledge. And when you do, it is profound and indelible, and it's worth the effort that you went through and the badness in your body that you endured to come to that level of self-knowledge. So in the same exact way, the healing of your soul, like when people do a QHHT, it's just like going to the doctor or the dentist and you're kind of saying like, here's my soul, like drill away, find a cavity and drill away. And like, I don't think that that is very good. I think that you should do your own regressions. I think that you should go into your own sense so that that way you're not influenced by someone else and they're going to tell you this and that, or, clap if you say you were an alien. Like I've heard too many of these interviews where the person is like influencing the person who is giving their hypnosis, thing. And they'll be like, oh yeah, like you're definitely an alien. Like, tell me more. Like this is, what is it called? Like when you are looking at something for entertainment's sake, like, I'm sorry, my brain is tired. I can't come up with the word for it, but it's when you like look at someone naked or look at someone doing something like for entertainment's sake. Like none of that is appropriate at all. You should do this stuff in private, and you should learn about yourself in private, and you should go into your own DNA and go into your own soul records and be able to know about yourself. And I don't know anybody who's really like clear enough to be doing these levels of pristine facilitation without influencing the other person. So super levels of skepticism and, just limit yourself and protect yourself from that can of worms. Chris says, are there still a lot of pollutions in our world? If so, how can we help remove them? It is a ton of pollution here. So a lot of the pollutions here are about frequency and particles and biochemistry and bad stuff in your food and water. That stuff is relatively easy to look at. The real worst pollutions are other things that I've called out that are in your ideology and have to do with religious affiliations, how you look at biological dynamics of males and women, men and women, even like the definition of what it is to be a man or to be a woman. That counts as pollution. Like there's a lot of consciousness and ideology pollution in your world. It's even a form of pollution, like to expect that you have to have a government, something that is an exoskeleton that controls behavior and gives you a sense of externally imposed morality so that way you have social structure. So in order to clean that out, like clean out pollution, stop the source. Like don't let chemtrails be sprayed in the air anymore, but that's facile because you're like, well, Aurora, who does them? Who emits pollution? Who pays for pollution? Who enjoys pollution? And you go to deeper answers of these questions. And the answer is some people do pollution on purpose. And the way that you clean up pollution is not to run around behind them, cleaning everything up. Wait, I'm tired and I'm telling stories. Okay, here's an Aurora story. Years ago, I was a house sitter for someone who was going off and living a bon vivant lifestyle in Europe. And she had these bunnies that I will just characterize as bunnies from hell. They were these giant, fluffy mop top bunnies, but they had these red eyes and kind of like long claws. And they were supposed to be litter box trained. And I'm like, living in her house like a house sitter. And she's like, oh yeah, the bunnies are litter box trained. And they were not litter box trained at all. And they were like little poop factories that went all over the whole house, pooping out little rabbit turds. And I'm like trying to clean up the whole entire time. I'm going behind the bunnies with a broom and a dustpan the whole entire time, sweeping up their poops. You're not supposed to have to do this. You know what? Like the pollution in your world is like the bunny poops. Something keeps pooping it out, and you can run around behind it and be like, I'm going to clean up the pollution for your whole entire life until you go crazy. But you should be like me, because what I did was I didn't go crazy. I'm like, this is fucking bullshit. And while she was in Europe, I built a bunny hutch so that way the bunnies could live outside where they belong. And then life got a lot better. So you got to do the equivalent. You got to do problem solving. Got to figure out what's the source of the pollution and stop the source of the pollution. So this requires more complex administrative and problem-solving capabilities. All right. Great. Oh, thank you. Thank you. People are enjoying my dress. Thank you so much. This is a personal piece that I did. It's not something that I made for the rest of the world to be able to wear. But thank you very much for appreciating the embroidery and stuff that I got going on here. It's actually still a work in progress. Thank you so much. You guys are enjoying it. I really love that. Thank you. Thank you for encouraging me. Martine says, wow, that was a cool surprise to see the image on the back of your dress. Love it. Oh, so now I have to give you, this is fun. Like we should do like a whole fashion show too. I've been very embattled, but I should show you like what I actually have going on here. So from here, can you see? I have my treadmill going. It's so difficult for me to turn around so that you can see. Yep, can't do it. Let's try. Ta-da! So here you got that. And that's exactly the same as that picture over there. And then also you have the smaller version of it over here, and have my good stuff going on here. So actually still have a lot more embroidery and stuff that I do that after the sun goes down, and I do quiet projects and embroidery and things like that. So thank you very much. And also this is part of what I do that is like doesn't require technology in any way. So even my synthesizer work does require technology, but I really love that I have some art projects that I can just go and sit underneath a tree and just use a needle and thread and do things like that. I think each one of you should have something comparable because it's very, very relaxing to me. And I'm very big about like after the sun goes down, like not to be like watching Netflix or whatever. So like, I try to have other things. I'm not perfect in any way, but I try to do other things other than just be connecting to technology. So Martine says, can you give us some ways of healing cavities? Yes, I can. And what to use for toothpaste? Thank you. I do not want to go to a dentist. Everybody should avoid dentists and doctors right now just because they are so co-opted and so about nanotechnology, and you want to avoid anything being injected into your body, including some of the lidocaines that they use for different dental procedures. The first thing that you can do, I really like this product and I use it for myself. Aura Wellness is the name of the company, and their product is called Shine, and it is a tooth powder that is non-abrasive, and it contains the hydroxyapatite, which is like remineralizing your teeth, and a couple of other good things, and it really actually works. Like it really rebuilds the enamel on your teeth. The other thing is I do not use any tooth products that contain glycerin, because glycerin makes your teeth too slippery and the minerals don't stick to it. So what you want to do is to make sure to, of course, like brush your teeth and remove debris, and then use, like floss to remove debris and plaque and other stuff like that. But then you have to add minerals, and you add minerals through putting tooth powders on, but also through your saliva. And for your saliva to have adequate minerals, you have to eat enough minerals. So eat a mineral-rich diet, drink mineral water. Here's another one. I don't know if you will like it, but fermented cod liver oil. Oh, I don't know, but you're from that area of the world. So this is definitely like from the Norway, Sweden, and Finland people, okay? And their offspring. They all know if you want your kids to grow up big and tall and have healthy bones and teeth, fermented cod liver oil. I have never eaten this stuff. It sounds terrible, but it really works. And basically it has high levels of the minerals and the healthy fats that you need. You can also have enough butter in your diet. That helps as well. But enough minerals and the fermented cod liver oil, avoiding glycerin, coconut oil for mouth swishing or pulling. You take a spoonful of it and you melt it in your mouth and you swish it around and then spit it out. Don't spit it down your sink. It will clog up your pipes. And also you don't have to do this for 10 minutes. That is gross. I do it for like 2 minutes. That's plenty. But yeah, swish that all around in there. The other thing that's really effective is xylitol. And you can either get like a xylitol mouth rinse or just get a bag of xylitol and you add water to it and swish that around in your mouth as well. All of these things really help. And I also use activated charcoal. That stuff is great because it helps to clean and whiten your teeth and it kills nanotechnology. And nanotechnology really does go along the gum line and accumulate in people's mouth. Another product that I really like is called ASEA, ASEA. It is redox solution, and it's actually a really wonderful fountain. Hold on 1 second. Sorry. No. 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 Sorry, I wasn't sure if I had to sign for a package. And I'm sorry if I had lost my train of thought. ASEA helps you on every level. It's great to take internally. It's great to put on your face and your skin. It is fountain of youth. And most importantly, it helps you to regrow your gum if you have gum recession, if you're getting older and you have larger gum pockets. ASEA, it's a multi-level marketing thing. Don't let that put you off. It's a very, very good product. And that stuff really, really does work. And it's not that expensive compared to like having gum surgery and all the crap things that people have to have in response to that. Some of the other things that are really important and that I do practice for myself is I eat a low carbohydrate diet. Now I eat more things in my life like bread, rice and pasta, but I used to be very strict and not eat those things. So avoiding cookies, candies, sugars, sugary sodas, all of those things really helps. And even fruit juice. If you drink fruit juice, just rinse your mouth with water afterwards, okay? It is possible for you to remineralize your teeth. Part of this is the beginning of learning about how your body restores and reconstructs and heals itself. The other thing is, if you have to go to a dentist, try to find someone who is called a bioidentical dentist. Try to avoid root canals. It's like they're really not good for you. Try to prevent large cavities from happening that would require a filling or a large root canal. And then also, please try to hang in there until our world is healed. As we're going through this transitionary period of the next couple of months or years, you will be able to find good practitioners who can do something like fix a broken tooth or whatever. So sew up a cut if you have something on your skin, fix a broken bone, whatever you need to have be done. You got to find that, but know that we'll be moving more into like profound levels of miraculous self-healing. So I'm going to have to walk a fine line with tooth stuff because I know some people need to have like teeth replaced and all sorts of things, like taken on a case-by-case basis, but you can do a lot with just the things that I told you about. Oh, and one more thing is ozone. So you don't want to breathe in ozone, but I have a small home generator. And what you can do is take the hose and hold your breath, like as if you were a scuba diver. Take a breath, hold your breath, and then you put the hose along your teeth and along your gums, and your teeth actually soak up the ozone, and this helps to prevent rot at the gum line and below. So if you think that you have something that is a root canal starting to happen, get yourself an ozonator. Ozonate your mouth and teeth. If you don't feel that you can do this, go to a bioidentical dentist and have them ozonate your teeth. Okay? Ozone. Good job. All right. So Susuke says, what is that you are doing over there on your dress form? Oh, so this right over here, I don't even have a project going on, but someone gave me this beautiful, that's a giant applique, that bird thing, and I'm going to make it into something. I might make it into a tote bag or whatever, but I just have it stuck up there like my little bulletin board. And then people have thrifted things and they gave me a couple of linen pieces that I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do with also. So those are all works in progress. I wish I had more fun and exciting things to show you. Like I could hold up something cool and show you what I'm working on, but all my dress stuff. Oh, well, maybe this over here is the only fun and interesting thing that I have as far as dresses that are going on. So this is, here, let me show this to you. This is like a commercially created plain purple dress, and then I am adding some of my linen fabric to it. But it's a whole art form of like how to pin it to the front and have it like fit on your body and not look terrible. So it's a work in progress. I'm still figuring that out. So thank you very much. And also like in talking about how I go forward in the future, like there's all this turmoil. You don't know what's going to happen. There's crazy things in Davos and crazy things in Greenland and what's going to happen. Follow your excitement, okay? In how to navigate and go forward. I'm like, I'm excited about making this dress. I'm going to get it. I'm going to make it. I'm going to sew it. And your rational mind might be like, don't buy a dress. Invest in a can of beans and a crossbow. Like you're going to be in a survival. Mad Max. They won't wear that in Mad Max. Like this is dumb. And you have to be like, no, no, of course, you have to have your food and have your water and have your things stored up. I have all these good things in my home. But then also, you must envision the greatest future. And in my beautiful future, not only do I create these dresses, but we have a good life. We have laundry and laundry detergent and even irons to be able to iron dresses. So doing these things is like making a commitment and a promise to yourself that you will have a life. You're not going to devolve into Mad Max. You are going to go onto these better timelines. So let's say if you're a musician, buy that guitar. You're gonna have a world where you have guitars and you play music. We're not just going to be living like barbarians. You must expect that and then align with that as your future. But also, like I would like for you all to be sensible also. So like I have my water filter and I have dried beef jerky and things like that. You have to be prepared for those things too, because that will help to sustain you during times when there could be instability and you don't know what's going on. Suzuka says, but I don't like people that much, or I don't think I want to be part of a community. Very fair. And Suzuka, I'll also say there's another lovely person in this class who has expressed to me her desire to just go live in a cave, just a nice cave with no one else around. And I'm like, I really endorse this. I understand why you're feeling. So here's how I would portray this to people. Like, I understand if people are just over people. You're just over it because mostly you've been subjected to like crappy people and had no time to yourself. And mostly people live with everyone else all around them without a lot of personal space and without a lot of your own reset and recalibration to your own energy field. It's like saying if you eat too much of a particular food, you're like, I never want to eat that again. Like I've had way too much of that. You actually like this food, but your body is saturated. You got to give yourself a fast. And so for people who feel like you or my friend who wants to live in the cave, you need to have a fast and get away from humanity a little bit. And then you need to selectively choose who you talk with, and you might feel different. So we might have this time in our life after too much social saturation to just take time to isolate, come to yourself, and restore your own batteries. Eventually, each one of you, I will wish to find your community that gives you battery power instead of drains you. It might be hard to imagine that right now because most people have been surrounded by lame-ass losers who are not good people. But can you imagine what it would be like to walk out of your house in the morning and be excited to see your neighbor and to be like, oh, I can't wait to talk to you about this. Okay, thanks. You made me feel great. I'll see you another time. Most people don't have that community or connection. And most people are not good people. And so I understand if you would just rather not interact with them. This will be a complete like cleansing of your palate. Change everything so that then when you walk out your front door, you're excited to see people and you're excited to be like, hooray, today's gonna be a good day and I'm gonna meet people and do good stuff. And then also it's essential to have the sanctity of your own space. You return home to your own home and your own energy field and be like, now I don't want to talk to anybody for this amount of time and I want to digest and process my thoughts and feelings. You and my other friend who wants to be in the cave, you can benefit a lot by doing different types of activities that help you to protect and restore your own energy field. So this is especially if anybody's an empath, saltwater baths really help. And that is with like Epsom salts and magnesium and other good stuff like that. I showed you my little egg is over there, just don't want to have to grab it, but my little selenium egg. Do the selenium, clear your energy field, other forms of sage and other things that clear out your energy field. Like if you feel over inundated, you cannot deal with people, you need to clear yourself and then take time to yourself. then you wait until you're excited and you're bored, and then you go out and find people. So for me and Cheeky, it's usually about a week. Like we had a week of rain and we didn't go anywhere. We didn't talk to anyone. By the end of that week, I felt restored and I also felt bored. And I was like, I can't wait to talk to people. And same thing with my dog. And then we went out to the grocery store, and every single person that my dog saw, she was greeting, she was running up to them. She was like, hi, I'm a cute dog. Like, hug me, pet me, do my, whatever, pet my butt. And all these things is like, you understand, like she was so excited because of being in a social deficit. Like you should be like that, all right? And then eventually you'll only connect with people that are cool, and they won't be draining to you. Okay, so Rebecca says, where can we find your comic book? Awesome. I will always link to it here in my YouTube description. So you can find it there, but you can also find it on YouTube. I created a super awesome video version with kick-ass soundtrack. And also I'm happy to say, so that the songs on that soundtrack are on my upcoming album that I just released, on official Spotify and Apple Music. So it's called Aftermath. That will be coming up soon. It takes a little bit, and we'll have a listening party. I'm going to do all the fun stuff with you guys. We're going to do the listening party. We're going to do fun stuff and not just fight against evil. So if you want to check it out, check out the PDF of my comic book is called Another Day in Hell. And if you want to check it out on YouTube, check out the video Another Day in Hell by Aurora. Okay. Yeah, it's really good. All right. So more questions. Charlie B says, agree. We cannot tolerate interplanetary colonization where corrupt bureaucracies empower themselves through technology to plunder planets everywhere. There is no scenario where this can function properly at galactic scale. You understand, Charlie B. That is the imbalance of the world that you're coming out of. And for you to gestate on planet Earth and then like have your coming out party and you're a debutante, you come forward into the galaxy. If we don't clean that stuff up, then you come forward into the corrupt, larger version of the crapola that you had in your earthly reality. So you're going to clean up this earthly reality, but at the same moment, you're also cleaning up the external galactic larger fractal. And then when you make your emergence, you emerge into a beautiful, positive, well-balanced world. Suzuki says, I spin my water in a vortex that has magnets and shungite. It's supposed to make structured water because not sure how Aurora does it. Definitely good. And I used to have one too. It's called Mayu Swirl, but I broke the carafe, but I still have the swirl. But it swirls in a vortex, and that's very good. The best ways to structure your water are use the Crystal Energy Drops by Patrick Flanagan, who was a genuine genius, not a CIA asset. And they're good, and they cost about $40. That reduces the surface tension of the water. Put it into an egg-shaped or a carafe that has a curve at the bottom, not 90 degrees, curved situation, and then you can leave it there for 24 hours. Or you can do things like with my purple crystals, I'm able to structure water faster. What are some other things? You can put it through this little kind of funnel shape to be able to structure it too. But basically, you want to put it into the correctly shaped container. You wait, a couple of hours before you drink it. You should put benevolent intentions, program the water or influence it with your benevolent intentions, or something that is an object of beauty, like a beautiful picture or beautiful music. Like you got to put something good into it. So clearing it is part of it, structuring it is part of it, but then putting goodness into it is another part of it. And Chris is like, drink water, water, water. I am always encouraging everyone to hydrate. And it's not just generalized life advice. It really is because the structured water goes into your nuclei and is part of your divine connection. And it really brings information into your DNA. It surrounds your DNA and it brings divine information into your DNA. And Michelangelo says, with a pinch of Celtic or Himalayan salt to retain it, no iodized salt, totally truthful. And I am a salt snob. So I do not eat the regular table salt at all. I need to eat a lot of salt for my body, more than what people say is healthy. And I only will use the good salt. My favorite one is Maldon, Mildon. It comes from Scotland and it is pure. You can also get Colima. It comes from Mexico. It is pure. Himalayan is good. Celtic sea salt is good. Get the good salt, guys, and invest in that. Like invest in life. Like it costs a little bit extra, but you only use a tiny amount. And Kim Rose is saying, oh, Mary Ellen actually is saying Pilates and core work. So that is what I'm all about. Actually, I finally did get over here. What I have in my home is a Pilates reformer, like a home reformer. I think Pilates is the dance and exercise formality in your world that most closely resembles lasagna. That the muscles that it cultivates and the actions of the body when you do it are the thing that are the most compatible with lasagna that I have found up until this point. So totally love it and find it to be very life affirming and very positive. And you should, if you're going to do it, like for anybody who's new to athleticism or whatever, there's like beginner, intermediate, advanced. So don't get intimidated. I want to say interpreted. And don't get intimidated. Start out at your beginner level and then gradually move up because it's deceptively difficult. Like these are actually very challenging things to do for your body, and they use muscles that you might not use a lot, especially if you've been sedentary. But I really think Pilates is amazing, and I don't think it's just one of these things like having a green tea latte. Like it's not just a luxury thing that people do in California. Like I really think that there's something benevolent for your body about it, especially like it's big on lengthening the torso and lengthening your spine and all of these things that really help with lasagna. Okay. Martine says, thanks so much, Aurora. Everyone, I need to go. We'll listen more later. Thank you, Martine. I know you're international, and thank you for being here. Kimra says, blue and white flag country that hijacked America. You totally know it. You totally know it. They're source of a lot of evil in the world right now. Michelangelo says, Maria Machado hands over her Nobel Prize to Trump. I know. Says, welcome to the Grand Illusion. Come on in, see what's happening, pay the price, get your tickets for the show. Styx, I don't know if I know that particular song by Styx, but I do know their music and completely agree. Redonkulous. And also just the Nobel Peace Prize itself, I think, is severely in question because it's just a kids club of people being like, you're in the club, here's, a shiny object. But then the idea that she's going to give it over to Trump is just completely nonsense. And at a certain point, like we do need to disengage from the veracity of these events. Like this is definitely the generation of puppets and not a genuine information about what is happening in terms of spiritual truth. So thank you for that. Mary Ellen says, oh, OMG, Aurora, LOL, Trump definitely going down. Like he's definitely going down. It's sad because I know people put a lot of hopes and dreams into him. And that's what happens when you have an externalized power force. You're like, I can't do it myself, but I believe in that guy and he's going to do it for me. And what if that guy turns out to be a complete piece of shit? Then all of your energy that got harvested and hijacked into him, what do you do with it? You can take it back. Imagine if you hired a contractor to build or fix your house and they did a terrible job. You're like, you fucked up my house. You didn't do a good job. You know what? I'm taking my money back. And then I'm going to do something else and fix up my house. You should be that way with politicians. You should hold them accountable. You should be like, I gave you my political capital to do blah, 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 and you didn't do blah, blah, blah. I take that all back. And that goes to everything that people gave political capital to Trump over. Releasing the Epstein files. Holding Hillary Clinton accountable. Do you remember when he said, yeah, because you'd be in jail and everybody cheered? Now it is literally however many 15 years later, and he has had multiple opportunities to actually put her in jail and he hasn't done it. You now have to understand that you've been played or manipulated or disappointed and that you will not receive what you actually needed in terms of your fulfillment and catharsis. And he knew exactly what to say in order to imply that you would get your fulfillment and catharsis. And he didn't do it. And he's not going to do it. Take back your political capital. I hired you because you were supposed to put up these shelves and you didn't put up these shelves. I'm taking my money back. You were supposed to indict Hillary Clinton. You didn't do that. I'm taking my money back. He was supposed to do a number of things that he didn't actually do. Please take back your political capital. Take it back from the entire political system. And this is international. I'm in USA, Satanic USA, and that's why I know more about the names and faces of the bureaucrats here. But please do it in whatever country you are in. And I'm glad that I have so many beautiful lasagna dancers around the whole world because I think you guys are amazing. So please clean up your community and take back your political capital where you are. And Amy has a wonderful comment here. She says, you're a badass. Thank you. Thank you very much. I try to be a giant troublemaker. I'm doing a good job of it. And Mary Ellen says, but Vance is not any better. He is a horrible, evil fuckface asshole. All right. So JD Vance, I got to characterize this guy for you. He is literally another constructed personality. So you cannot listen to the official story of his life as it has been, his biopic, his lifetime, Hallmark card biopic. He's a member of the Hells Angels. Okay, he's literally like part of a motorcycle gang or organized crime. He has only been lightly shaved. Think of him like a shaved ape. Like he is still an evil, gross pig who has been shaved. He has done horrible things in his life, and his biography alludes to that. Please know that he's done very, very worse things in his life, and he's been propped up by this political machine. He's not in a real marriage at all. So the woman that he's supposedly married to is actually another CIA construct, and she's like a psychologist, and their children are not their real children. They're like surrogate IVF medical experiments, MK Ultra kids that they are raising as if they are their own children. He is not a person to be trusted or looked up to in any way. And he is right now actively poisoning Trump. So he not just allegorically, like he's literally putting stuff into Trump's food and drink. But I think that that's not really the origin of all of the problems that you see in Trump's physical body. Like I will take a lot of credit for the brain melting. All right, I'm doing the brain melting, maybe not some of the other stuff. But please know that not only J.D. Vance, but a whole cadre of colleagues are acting to do like some kind of stabbing in the back, power shift in there. Of course, I will not let any of these things happen. So I'm going to get rid of J.D. Vance and kick him out of reality at the same time that I'm getting Trump out of reality. Like this Jenga tower must be delicately balanced, but he is also like a very, very evil person. And was part of that betrayal that Trump did of all of you to create some kind of expected Christian flavored theocracy. That would have been J.D. Vance at the helm of Peter Thiel and Elon Musk's PayPal Mafia, Palantir, Total Panopticon, right? That's not happening. Not happening. I got rid of a lot of those people. Fictionally, of course, read my comic book. And Chris says, Weekend at Bernie's, that's funny, I know. I try to keep it humorous. Mary Ellen says, how come, though, these black magicians aren't shielded and protected? They must see you coming. What about Epstein? Okay, so the dark magicians that I fight against. So sometimes they see me coming, but they've also been largely in denial about who I am. So read my comic book. Sometimes things happen and they're just like, we don't know how that happened, but I'm like, I know how it happened. So they don't often like to acknowledge the huge impact that I'm having on them and their dark architecture. We'll just say it that way. And they are not very good at what they do. So they are not very like prescient to be able to anticipate who I am and what I'm going to do. But believe me, Mary Ellen, they fight against me all the time. So it's not like I just do things and they allow it. They mount a defense. They aggress against me. They're offensive against me. I fight against them. I do all sorts of things that they try to stop, and I triumph over them. It's my life right now. So no, they're not easy foes. I fight against them all the time. They try to anticipate what I'm doing, but they're not very good at it. I'm always lasagnaing around them, but they are active in the world. Okay, so she says, what about Epstein? So Epstein is actually one of my nemesis, although I know the definition of the word nemesis is singular, but he was giant fuckface asshole, attacked me and a lot of other people a lot. He is genuinely dead now, but he wasn't genuinely dead when he got out of his prison cell. So that was a replacement. He was transcended away, and he was secreted away and put into a witness protection program, but not official in any way. He kind of went into a interdimensional state. And all of this like doesn't say it well. He was one of the hubs of the type of negative signal cultivation and proliferation that you know as the W ban. He was both a sexual server, like a server of computer signals that go through him, and a computer signal server that went through him. So when he was at the center of all of these connections, like he is. So, I mean, in order to, when you say, what about Epstein? Like, I have to give you a dissertation, Mary Ellen. It is not a short answer at all. You now need to know about dark magic. And that dark magic is connecting an evil penis, like the one that was attached to Jeffrey Epstein, to many different bodies. His job was to put his penis into many different bodies Some of them were willing, some of them were non-willing. And he put his penis into hundreds of thousands of bodies. And that was the job that he then transferred energy between all these different bodies that he was physically connected to. He put his penis into bodies that are connected to, through various degrees of separation, President Trump and Melania Trump and all of the members of Congress, many high-level country of blue and white flag people, and interdimensional, international miscreants of all types. Like, he was international and touched his penis against a lot of evil people. All right. So he was part of this network and substrate of dark magic, and also powerful at the level of five senses, reality distortion and manipulation through money and blackmail. And then when he went to prison, he wasn't stopping doing what he was doing. He was still a server for various different W-band signals. When he was taken out of prison, body double was put in there. He then went on to be almost completely interdimensional. His physical presence was not emphasized, but his activities in the lower astral is what was emphasized. So this is what I mean when I say that he became a largely interdimensional figure and did a lot of other hugely violative and life disruptive things, and disruptive of the fabric of space-time things from 2021 to more recently. But I fought him and destroyed him fully. And so he is in entropy, but it took a lot to destroy because he was taking energy from all sorts of different people. So it's not that easy. How do you kill a vampire? Because the vampire is taking energy from all of these different people. So it wasn't that easy to get him. So he is gone. And also Ghislaine Maxwell is gone. You need to know about her. She was his giant fuckface asshole companion. She was a gianter fuckface asshole than him, but she is not alive anymore. And she was in prison genuinely. So he was in prison fakely, not really being harmed by the prison system and protected by the prison system. She was in prison for real and really lived in a bad cell and had a bad life and everything like that. And then I did things so she is not in physical reality anymore. But they can't just have people die in custody. And they can't just be honest about it. So-and-so died of supernatural causes, is dead. And now we don't know what to do about it. So they had to make up a lie. And the lie is that they, moved her to a lower security prison and that she gave testimony. None of that is true. She died in her cell. They couldn't admit to it. They got a body double whose whole entire CIA career is just to look kind of like Ghislaine Maxwell, except Ghislaine Maxwell, if she gained 75 pounds, right? And didn't really sound like herself. So they moved this body double to this Texas facility. And then they tell everyone, they're like, you're not allowed to talk to Ghislaine at all. This is not allowed behavior. And so that's because she's an imposter. And then she supposedly gives grand jury testimony, all of which was completely fabricated. So why would they do that? Because they're liars, and they should have just been honest and been she's dead and she's not here anymore, but they can't do that. So then they turned crisis into opportunity, and they're like, well, we're going to use this to create a bunch of get out of jail free card stuff for Trump. And then once they did that, Trump's enemies in politics knew that was a lie. So well, if you're going to create a bunch of fake grand jury testimony, then we're going to create a bunch of fake emails too. So that's when they created the fake emails that are all about Trump is whatever, having a sexual relationship with Bill Clinton and that they're in bed together and all these things. What you start to comprehend is that you're not getting any of the truth of reality. You're not really seeing behind the scenes in terms of what is given to you from media reports. And that when I start to decode this and give this stuff to you, you recognize everything that you're being given is lies or are lies, and that very little of it actually connects to reality. At this point, read my comic book. Almost none of these people that are supposedly in existence running reality are here anymore. And this is not like the QAnon Gitmo promises, they're all dead in Gitmo. Not like that at all. Let me just hydrate here. No, they are all genuinely gone through supernatural lasagna means. And there are the reality plunge protection teams that keep the narrative going. Because if Elon Musk is shown to be no longer in existence, what happens to his stocks? What happens to this? What happens to that? So Mary Ellen goes on to say, even Trump's relationship with Epstein was and still is overlooked. I don't understand. Well, because Trump was a dark magician. Now he's just a regular asshole. But he used to, like fuck a bunch of people. And then first thing you do when you fuck a bunch of people is take energy and shield yourself. And that's called making a glamour. All of these evil fuckfaces do it. And then they put a shield around them that says, I'm a perfect angel and I would never hurt anyone at all. All right. It's the first thing you do. So you do a criminal act that's evil against souls, get a bunch of energy. And the first thing you do is spend 10% of that to make a glamour. And that glamour was a glamour, or Elon Musk had his own glamour. He did evil things and then put a shield around himself that says, I'm Tony Stark. I'm Iron Man. I'm helping humanity. Doge is a great thing. And I'm helping all of you and I'm a friend. Got it? So the reason why Trump has been able to overlook association or avoid negative blowback is because he used his glamour shield very effectively. And it's not, truthful. Like, he is very responsible and very complicit in his own crimes. So if you don't understand how glamours work, it is not rational. It is emotional energy. And it makes people bypass their own sense of like, I don't really trust this guy, but for some reason I think he's innocent. Like that whole thing where like my real feelings are skepticism, and I'm like this, but then the glamour hits and you're like, he's a QAnon and he's helping us. And that manipulation right there, it's emotional manipulation. And people, this is pretty ancient stuff, predates the nanotechnology, and it's been used for a very long time in order to make politicians appear more trustworthy and more palatable than they actually are. Mary Ellen says, you can just be a life coach, Kim Rose. Oh, yeah, that's good. Exactly. So good encouragement there, Mary Ellen. And Mary Ellen says, what should we do with our worthless fiat, silver, Bitcoin, real estate? I think banks are going to collapse. You're correct. Banks are in a controlled demolition right now, but it's going to become an uncontrolled demolition. I am very much an advocate for Bitcoin as freedom money, but until Bitcoin becomes relevant, which will be like in the next 5 to 10 years, y'all are going to have to get through the next 5 to 10 years. Okay, so please know that. So a small investment at this moment in Bitcoin will definitely help you in many, many years, but I think you're going to want to be sure to have physical assets right now, because you're going to want to make sure that you have food and water and silver, and so silver for future investments, but also for barter. You should have transactional silver as well as silver that's an investment. You should have gold, not necessarily for transactional gold. You shouldn't expect to pay for a cup of coffee in gold, but you should have gold for long-term storage and not losing your money through inflation. Bitcoin is also very good for long-term storage and not losing your money through inflation. Real estate, it really depends. Are you saying real estate, like buy one of these disgusting McMansion homes that costs whatever, $750,000 for small square footage in the middle of nowhere? No, you should not do that. You should not buy homes or apartments strictly for investment purposes and think that you will have your real estate double and triple the way that people have blithely come to expect that. You should purchase a house if you're going to live in the house, and you should buy a house that suits your needs in a neighborhood that you genuinely, in a community you genuinely wish to experience and to live in. And if you have a mortgage, you should not be like, I'm going to pay off my mortgage now, and I'm going to sell all my Bitcoin and pay off my mortgage. Do not do that, because I'm talking all about how like debt is fake and bogus, and you shouldn't accumulate more debt. Like, oops, sorry, my treadmill turned off. That's why I stumbled there. Student loans. You should not accumulate student loans. And if you have student loans, you should not sell all of your Bitcoin in order to pay off your bogus student loans. But nor should you sell your Bitcoin to be able to pay off your real estate in order to supposedly be free of all of that mortgage stuff, because like your real estate is going to radically devalue across the entire world, because so much of real estate has been artificially elevated. So if you're a person who owns one or multiple properties and you thought that they would double, triple, quadruple, whatever, you got to calibrate your expectations. That ain't gonna happen. And you thought, blah, 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 you're a baby boomer and you bought this house in 1980 and now you're going to sell it to the next generation and get a lot of money. You also have to recalibrate your expectations, because the next generation has no fucking money and they are not prepared to buy a house that was like 765 or a million or $1.2 million. They are not at that point. And there are very real problems in real estate. So again, only purchase a house that you really want to live in. You want to live there for the long haul, and not just as don't purchase houses to flip them. And this whole flipping phenomenon is wrong and gross and has destroyed communities. And don't purchase a house for any type of rental, Airbnb nonsense or anything like that. So here's what you need to do. Like, you need to make sure that you have access to local food and support your local farmers. And you need to make sure that you can grow or produce your local food, and also make sure that you have your water. And, as much as is possible, to be able to create a positive environment around yourself, a bubble of peace and sanity for yourself and your own animals. If you're already established in a place and you already own a place and you're living someplace good, please stay there. Like, that is good. If you're not happy where you are, now is like your last opportunity to sell, because it's not going to be a good opportunity to sell and get back your full investment and move and purchase the property of your choice. That window is pretty much closing. In fact, it might already have closed like last month. So please be aware of all of that. And also, in terms of investments, anything that is not a physical asset, like, is an abstraction. Stocks are an abstraction, bank accounts are an abstraction, paper, contracts for gold and silver and other things like that are abstractions, and they will be largely worthless. Bitcoin is different because, although it is an abstraction, it is not affiliated with government structure, because a lot of these other things will become radically revalued and devalued as governments fall. So why am I an advocate for Bitcoin? It is freedom money. That means that it exists independent of the profoundly flawed and satanic governments. I advocate that we go away from a money system where you have occult dollars. You might want to use gold and silver, but that's difficult to send to your friends overseas. Bitcoin, not any of the other cryptocurrencies, which are all lame-ass losers. And also, do not allow Bitcoin to be stolen and hijacked by either Jack Dorsey or any of his fuckface asshole friends trying to hijack Nostra and the Lightning Network. Don't let Bitcoin be hijacked by negative personalities like the core devs of Bitcoin Core software, who are shown to be capricious losers and not responsible enough to be administrating what is the potential replacement for the worldwide economy. Like, they don't take their jobs seriously at all, and they are complete idiots, and they are very evil. But luckily with Bitcoin, like, if you don't like one restaurant, like, just go to a different restaurant, go to a different software company, run a different software. And there's a lot of computer nerds that are recognizing this. So I think Bitcoin is robust, but again, it's going to be relevant in like 5 years, 10 years. Like, it's not going to be relevant this year. Going to have to weather the storm, going to have to get through the fall of the American empire, the fall of the dollar, the complete freak out and inflammation of human society, people sometimes not having electricity or technology, but not a complete cessation of all services everywhere. And you're going to have to keep your shit together as people that actually have divine connection and be positive enough to build something in the future for your community. All right. When other people are freaking out and they are afraid or going into the worst expectations, please don't be destabilized by them. Their world might very well be ending. Like, if you're one of these obsolete dinosaurs, your world is ending. But if you are lasagnas of this class, you should be celebrating, because you're like, goodbye dinosaurs, goodbye for forever. I don't want things to be done in that way. And now what I want to do is generate something new. Please stay in that mindset of goodbye forever to all of the gross corruption that we've experienced, and hooray, I get to make something new. And celebrate your self-responsibility. Celebrate that you get to construct a new type of civilization here. The banks will collapse. You want it to happen. You don't want the banks to stay. You want the banks to collapse. But a lot of people are going to be like, I don't like bank, but I like money, and money is in bank. What do I do? So you're going to have to weather the storm and figure out how you do stuff without banks. Got it? Kimber says, I have the same question. Looking at the skyrocketing value of silver, I feel that truthers have been duped by the excessive promotion of precious metals as the way of ending the fiat system. So you're right. There's a lot of manipulation going on right now. Some people are silver stackers, like Cliff High, not a total endorsement of the man, but he's been saying this for whatever, 20 or 30 years. Some people bought silver a long time ago, and their time has almost come. If you bought silver, whatever, 20 or 30 years ago, you should wait until it's up to like 200 or 300 an ounce, and then you should sell your stack and you should translate it into gold or something else that has long lasting power. And you should feel like, good job, like you did a good job. Silver, the propaganda right now is being told to people that own their own silver, not silver paper contracts. Don't sell yet, because if you sell now, then all of these rich fat asses like Tesla and Samsung will buy your silver, and the central banks will keep going. Do you like central banks? You're like, no. Then keep your fucking silver and don't sell it now. And, trying to be greedy or serve yourself. Fight for freedom. Just holding on to your silver for a little while longer breaks the back of the central banks. You still get rich, or you still enjoy your wealth, and you get to change the entire banking system. So if you're watching these John Silver AI Asian guy, prolific AI generated propaganda things about silver, you should be skeptical. But the reason why they exist is because they're trying to tell you, don't sell your stuff yet. Hold out and fuck the banks harder. Okay, so that's the message. Hold out and fuck the banks harder. But silver itself is not a solution. If you think that we're going to be in the Wild West, where you will walk around with, a bag of silver and be like, here, give this to the shopkeep. I'd like to buy whatever, a year's supply of flour or something like that. Or petticoats. Big, here's some silver. I'd like to buy some petticoats, please. That's not your life. That's like from 1862. Do you understand? You're in a different world right now. So you can't expect to have transactional silver. A lot of freedom fighters and libertarians think that's what you're going to get. Like, buy a crossbow, have some silver, hunker in your bunker, have a can of beans. Like, I'm glad those people exist, but that is not how you build a future. So please know I'm avoiding all of those potentials. But the silver, you should celebrate that when you see that going on, because it is a functional, mechanistic way to destroy the central banking system, which is fucking satanic. And the only thing that I support about Iran is that it doesn't have this fucking satanic banking system, but is very, very troubled in many other ways. So Mary Ellen says, if you have a license, very restrictive, I'm a psychotherapist now and not the best. Oh, I got it. Understand. Good advice to potential burgeoning psychotherapists. And Michelangelo says, corporate fuck-faced assholes left my ass off. Oh my God. Good on you, mate. Thank you. And thank you for allowing me to be fully authentic, because I know I try to be a mentor and a spiritual teacher to other people, but sometimes you got to call it like you see it. Mary Ellen says, I met Dolores Cannon in person. I thought reptilian and very controlling. Totally. I would not trust Dolores Cannon at all. And so much of what she wrote about was CIA sponsored grooming. Many Lives, Many Masters. I think that was some of her stuff, but also just some of the teaching that she did. Like, I've seen videos of her on a stage. Her energy is very bad, and so she gives some of the worst advice. So you know something, when you're a psychologist or a psychiatrist, you can, or a mentor or spiritual guide, you can really fuck up people's lives. Like, really, if you tell the wrong thing to the wrong person, like, it destroys them, it makes them suicidal. A lot of what Dolores Cannon said to you is pretty much like, yeah, like, you did bad shit in your previous lives and you deserve to be hurt in this life. And, a lot of other things, a lot of blame the victim type of stuff that was not healthy. I can't go through exactly everything she said, but huge yellow caution flags on her. She's not a positive influencer. And when you guys achieve your own psychic vision, you will do a little bit of like walk down memory lane. You look at these former gurus or whatever, and you'd be like, that was a bullshit artist. That person wasn't real at all. That person was a CIA asset, not a real person. And you will start to recognize how much the secret societies have distorted the whole narrative, and you have not achieved really truthful insight about the afterlife or your multiple existences or anything that's going on because of the influence of secret societies on elevating certain people. Like, we've talked about Dolores Cannon, we've mentioned like Eckhart Tolle. I call him Eckhart Trolley. I'm like, why is this guy influencing anyone? Bashar, we've brought him up as a fraud. There's lots of other name brand frauds. We can have a whole 2-hour discussion of who's a fraud and who should you stay away from. But just please know that these frauds and bad restaurants exist in order to take you off your spiritual path. And those are Terrible people. Joyce is trying to help you with my brain thesaurus, voyeurism. It was something along the lines. I want to say like prurient interest, or when you're looking at something that shouldn't be fascinating, it's kind of gross, but you watch anyway. But thank you for being my brain thesaurus. And Aurelia says, I love seeing the dress matching with the painting. Thank you so much. You know what? I try to be like a walking art project. That's my fashion style or whatever. So this is where I'm coming with all of this and to make my things very unique. So I really appreciate it when people stop me on the street, or if you guys see my stuff and you appreciate what I'm when you praise what I'm doing. Like I put a lot of myself into my creations here. So thank you for noticing that. And I try to be, that's like a fun, cool part of the work that I do here. Rima says, Aurora, what do you do for eyes health? Okay, good. So the first thing is sun gazing in the morning without my contact lenses. So I wear corrective lenses so that I can see where I'm going. And before I put them on in the morning, I get up, the sun is coming up, and I bathe my face in the sun. Sometimes I keep my eyes closed. Sometimes I just like put my face in the sun, but I drink in the light. Sometimes I have my eyes open. It really depends on what I feel like. Some people stare directly at the sun, but getting that morning light into your eyes, really important. I also try to do that each day when the sun is going down as well. And then the other stuff that I do is minimizing blue light. So on all of my electronics, I have it yellow shifted so that it's not so glary. It's not so hard to look at. All of my, like you might see sometimes the light bulbs are very orange when I'm on camera because all of my light bulbs are incandescent or they're from the company that's called Strainless Lighting. And I like them. They're very orangey and they don't hurt my eyes. And so minimizing the blue light. After the sun goes down, I use the orange light bulbs, or in my room, I have like the red light, and I also have beeswax candles, a nice hurricane lamp that is not kerosene, it's type of eco, wax that is not paraffin, positive sources of light. And what you need to do is expose your eyes to the positive healing of reddish orangey light. And so, just being around that type of light is very positive and good. And, if you can like take a bath, put candles on, like all these things, it helps all of your light. Some of the other things you can look at are natural eyesight improvement. I'm not all the way there because some of my eyesight difficulties are from brain injury. But if your eyesight is not from like a neurological condition, you can do a lot with improving the muscle structure around your eyes. It's called Bates, Bates, Bates method. And this guy was pretty amazing. He learned that if you move your eyes in figure eights, it helps to improve your eyesight. And if you just move your eyes like this in lines when people like are reading, it diminishes your eyesight. So basically it's eye exercises to move your eyes in figure eights when you're looking around the world. And everything about reading is a cognitive corrosion of your brain and not good for your eyes. And so like I tell people like I'm not a good reader, I'm a slow reader, but the truth is like it's very uncomfortable on my eyes. And so I don't do it that much, and I prefer audiobooks, but you might want to look at limiting how much reading you do or taking breaks. If you're going to read, like take a break and then look back at your stuff. Like it's about how you use your eyes beyond any sense of your genetic quotient in your eyes. And I'm trying to think if I do anything else with supplements or other stuff like that. Because I take melatonin topically, and I know that improves your eyes, but I don't necessarily put it like directly in or around my eyes. And one of the other things, so I do my purple crystals. When I sleep at night, I have a cloth headband, and sometimes I put those crystals literally like over my eyes so that they are beaming that energy into my eyesight and into my pineal gland while I sleep at night. That's one of the big things that I do. And, because I put also like melatonin patches, I'll put them like on my forehead or like around my eyes here, like the melatonin is soaking into my eyes and is around my pineal gland, but also I use these crystals mostly for like blocking out negative frequencies and things like that. So Suzuka says, watching you learn sashiko has made me interested to try. I want to learn pattern making to make my own linen cotton clothes. I like white and white with sashiko. I would totally encourage you to do so. So that's this style of embroidery here. And I got a lot of inner peace by learning how to do the sashiko embroidery. And what I like about it is because it's very geometric. It's totally like my paintings, where like you set up a grid and then you do these things and then you do it. It's like very comfortable for me to do. And it's also very satisfying because like you set it up, you do it, and then it's done. And you're like, da-da, it's done. Like I like things like that, have a very clear directive, and then when they are done, you feel like hooray, like I finished the thing. So also I like it because it's actually from like a conservative way of doing things, conserving things, not that they're socially conservative. The people who developed this heritage technique, it's like this thing is falling apart. Instead of throwing it away, you sew it and you add strength to it and you keep it together. I like this way of thinking about clothing because now I think about things that I want to have for many years. And so you get something that is made of linen or cotton and it has a good strength to it. And then you add colorful threads to make it stronger and it lasts longer. This is very different than all the stuff about like throwing things away and doing things that are quick and stylish. Like this really is about recalibrating how you even think about your clothing. So it's fun and I think very positive because now what I have are things that are like more long lasting and personal. And I'm like, yep, like that's my thing. And I'm going to have it for 10 years. And I put a lot of effort into making it personalized for me. And I know no one else has that in the world. So it's like different than the status object of trying to look like someone else. I would encourage everyone going forward, like totally like if you have these skills and capabilities, make your own clothing, personalize your clothing. No more of this mass produced and like cheap plastic stuff that we've had for a long time. Aurelius says, totally understand the feeling. Never had much chance to restore before away from people and do have that chance more now. Do it. I think it's really important to people, especially anybody who's frequency sensitive, because you pick up on other people's feelings. Like I even feel other people through the walls. I'm in an apartment complex and I feel like my neighbor is over there and my neighbor's over there and my neighbor's over there. You want to be around good people, but what if I feel something that's not good from my neighbors and I'm like, oh, like they're having a problem and I can feel it through the wall. Like you all need to get away from other people to reset your inner compass and to feel what you really feel inside and not to be absorbing too much from others. So ideally we do this by like going to the beach or going to the woods or going to someplace where there's not a lot of other people. But if you're like me, I live in Southern California. Everybody's at the beach. Like you don't go to the beach to have time alone. Like the whole world is at the beach or whatever, some of these other hiking trails where you're like, I'm going to get out into nature. And it's like everybody's there and you do not have quite peace of mind or whatever. You just have lots of other people. So you got to have quietude and the capacity to get away and get into your recalibrated feelings. Mary Ellen says, interesting. I thought that with Pilates, thanks. Yeah, totally. You can feel that it's very lasagna, especially the postures that you do that are both kind of like expansion and both arms up like this and kind of like bringing hands together and down like this and working all these muscles here, like this flight muscles, everything that's flight muscles, that making expansion of your chest, holding your arms out like this and bringing them in these big circles, and same things with your lower limbs. And she goes on to say, okay, makes sense. It's brilliant. So who's behind him? Oh, thank you for what you do. You're so welcome. And she says, you think silver is going to pull back soon or buy now? Very challenging to say. I don't think that it's going to go down. I think that silver is at this plateau level and it is not going to reduce. I think that it's going to remain very, very relevant because of all of its technological uses. It's really up to each one of you if you feel like now is a good moment to get into it, because I think that it should be not long-term thing. Don't think like I'm going to buy silver and hold on to it for forever. I think you should have a goal, like buy silver, and when it gets to a certain amount, sell it, but don't sell it for dollars, sell it for gold. I think your eventual long-term storage of wealth should be in gold, because gold is always in style and it's something that is going to be good for the future. I smile because I have to explain this to you. Do not buy gold on a exchange, like gold futures. No. Do not buy gold on some paper. No. And do not buy gold and stick it in some safe deposit box that I would say the gang. I wanted to say the bank, but my mouth said gang, because they're gangs. You get it? Don't put it in the bank. Don't put it in the bank. Go to a local jeweler or a reputable place, buy genuine gold and keep it in your home in a nice, safe place. And don't tell other people about it. And this is what will preserve your wealth going forward. If you keep dollars, the problem is that you will still have dollars in the bank, but that they will become worth less and less and less. You're better off, instead of having dollars in the bank, buy a tractor, like buy a something that will actually benefit you. So if you are thinking about buying silver in order to increase your levels of wealth, it's questionable about the timing of that. Right now, this is more about people that already had purchased silver, a little while ago. But I think it is still a very, very good time to be able to buy gold. But again, this is not for like buy it today and then sell it next week. Buy it for the long term. And please also recognize that anytime you purchase something, there's the premium. Like when you're translating it, you have dollars, going to lose some dollars by translating something into silver, gold, or Bitcoin. You're doing it because at a certain point, dollars are going to be toilet paper and you are not going to care about them at all. And not just dollars, euros, pounds, the yen, and whatever the heck they use in Russia. It is all going to become worthless nonsense. So the things that are going to be really valuable are stuff that you can really touch. And I think I mentioned this, like Bitcoin is great, but it's intangible. It's not stuff you can touch. And there's a huge personality problem that needs to be fixed up with what people are doing with Bitcoin. Suzuki says, you can buy Pax Gold on the blockchain. It's tokenized gold, which now makes it fractionalized and you can spend it in the store. I would be so skeptical of that. I thank you for sharing that information with us. And this is not a personal attack on you, Suzuka, but anything that is tokenized, I am super skeptical of. And anything that is supposedly tokenized and on the blockchain, you can turn it on and turn it off. And what you're facing now in terms of social difficulties, I will have to let Chiki out soon, is like some things like the USDT, the stablecoins being issued by United States, proposed in Europe, and issued already in China. The powers that were can turn your money on and off. They can say, I'm giving you whatever. Here's 10 stablecoins. And if I don't like your face, kid, you do something wrong, I'm like, I'm going to turn off your stablecoins and you can't spend them anymore. Or you could spend these in the next year. But if you don't spend your 10 stablecoins, they're going to evaporate and go bye-bye. You don't want to participate in anything that's like that. Pretty much with Bitcoin, you must hold it offline in a cold storage wallet. And with gold, you must hold it in your own capacity in order for it to be something that you genuinely hold. And if you don't have that, then someone else will say to you one day, well, I'm sorry, you cannot access this, or you cannot spend this, or I don't like your face, kid. But then also please know that anything that you keep in your own home, you have to keep it safe. Being secretive is one way to keep it safe. And then also you have to do other things to help keep it safe, like, lock it in a safe or be prepared to defend your home. And I'm very, very big on home defense and investing in lead. It's a great mineral to have around the house if you can read my drift on what you need to do there. So yes, and that's also part of personal responsibility. People should not outsource their resources and protecting their resources to something else that is questionable and possibly anti-life and anti-human. Protect yourself and your own resources and keep things, within your own capacity to protect. Joyce says, I appreciate you immensely, Professor Aurora. Thank you, Joyce, and thank you for being such a wonderful long-term student. And she says, thank you for all you do and for who you are. I'm glad you are here and so grateful to know you. Love and hugs to Cheeky Chew. Thank you. Thank you very much for that love and for that support. And it really means a lot to me as a person and as a teacher. Thank you. Suzuki says, Cliff High thinks BTC is going to go to 1 million. I agree with Uncle Cliff. Call him Uncle Cliff. He's right on a lot of things, but he's not right on everything. He's got a lot of crazy ideas about aliens, and I don't agree with all of that. But I think that Bitcoin is going to go to 1 million. The question is, what will the journey be like and how long will it take? And I think it's going to take 5 or 10 years. I think that it will get to that level. I think that even owning a small fraction of a Bitcoin at this moment in your life might not seem like a lot, but you will be a personal economy. Like you will be like a nation state. If you own 1 Bitcoin, in 10 or 15 years, you'll be like a nation state. But you got to ask yourself, what's your life like? Are you going to be here in 10 or 15 years? And what are you going to do over the next 10 or 15 years while you're waiting to be like a mega billionaire? All right. But I do think that it is a very viable and wonderful system, but also don't let it be hijacked. If you want to have Bitcoin be $1 million in 10 or 15 years, you got to be active in your participation to make sure that the system doesn't get screwed up or hijacked. It means that you might want to run a Bitcoin node, be informed about different software things like a soft fork, impending soft fork. And if you need to know about this, and you're like, Laura, how do I know about all these things? Go to Matthew Crater, Bitcoin University on YouTube. I think he's one of the only good guys. Like there's lots of good people. They don't all make videos. That's what I'm trying to say. There's a lot of idiots on YouTube that say all sorts of things about Bitcoin that are liars, and you cannot listen to them. But this guy is for real. He's very well informed. He's not lying to you or trying to sell you some kind of a shite thing. And I think he gives very, very good education. He's one of the few voices that I trust in the Bitcoin space. Okay. Chris says, Aurora, I have the mathematical formula that I haven't yet shared with you. Okay, cool. Says, I want to set up an appointment with you because this is the system that will replace the debt system from my referee integrity perspective. I sense this is a transitionary moment the world needs at the moment. Thank you. I am very happy to hear about it from you, Chris. Okay, tell me all about it. And it really says, was wondering how things were developing for you these days. Tell us. Okay, so everybody wants to hear, Chris. So maybe, I mean, we're coming to the end of class today, but maybe we can start up another time or set up a separate discussion panel where we can talk about economic stuff. And that might be really good for this class. Please tell me, signify if you're interested in that, because I know you have some really, really great ideas. And we need to have roundtables and discussions and talk about how we would like to shape our reality, and then bring those experiences into existence to actually make them happen, not just talk about them in terms of wishes. So I think that would be wonderful. Kimro says, so much gratitude to you, Professor and Princess Cheeky. Thank you. Thank you very much. Just super happy and celebrating this day. I've completed my first semester of Full Spectrum Humans, and this course is so full of true magic and gems. Thank you for making us all energetic billionaires. You're so welcome, and thank you for that. So this is a good way to start wrapping things up. Thank you to this whole entire beautiful class. My utter apologies for the way that this particular curriculum started today. Rough start, and thank you. Apologies, and so much consideration for the challenges that I had at becoming angry and inflamed. Thank you, and apologies to anybody who had to witness that or deal with destabilization as a result. On the positive level, thank you for listening to my ideas. Thank you to the people that come here and they listen to me for many hours each week. And it absolutely does make me feel very good, like I'm actually getting the cosmic information out there and having a positive impact on you. And I think that you are brave, noble, and courageous for listening to forbidden truths from a cosmic troublemaker who says things sometimes that are a little bit challenging and difficult to hear. You all rise to the occasion. You are all like, definitely the best of humanity. And I also want you to know, you don't have to be perfect people. In order to participate in the next chapter of what it is to be human, you don't have to be like a perfect vanilla ascended master and have no problems and everything like that. You can have your things that you have to learn. You can have your issues or traumas that you're working through, but you have to be a good person, and you have to be not affiliated with evil and willing to admit your mistakes. So you don't have to be perfect, but you do have to be willing to change and grow. And you are the beautiful people in this class. So I'm very, very pleased to be associated with you and for you to come here and listen. Okay. Good. So Chris is telling, yes, he's shared some of these ideas at the retreats that we've had in person. And Michelangelo says, thank you, Master Aurora, love to all. Thank you. Thank you for being here and making time to always connect. And Kim says, too bad for all the people who had their homes with all their gold and silver washed away in floods, like in North Carolina from Hurricane Helene. Absolutely. And, people, you should try to prepare as best you possibly can. And if a natural disaster, something like that happens, like, of course, you can't plan for that, and then you have to look to your community. One of the key things in investments I didn't talk about here enough is called goodwill. That means when you do good things for other people in your community, because any one of you can have a perfect homestead and then a tornado comes, it gets all washed away, and then what do? You have to prevail upon the other people in your world who still have resources and who are willing to share with you. I will contextualize it like this. At a certain point, you actually will be telepathic and be in a cleared out world surrounded by other good people. And if you know that someone is in distress, like if someone doesn't have the resources that they need, you will hear them and you will want to help them. There will not be a way for you to live well in a world where you're like, oh, I hear that guy crying next door. He can't get food or pay for what he needs. And I have all this gold and I'm sitting on top of it. Like, you won't feel guilty, but you'll feel like, oh, well, like I'm aware of other people's difficulties and I want to help them. And also when you have Bitcoin and you're a Bitcoin millionaire and you've got whatever, $340 billion, you're not going to just sit on your ass like Jeff Bezos or some of these other evil people. You're going to be like, I have this money in order to improve the world and make things better. We have to hug cheeky. And I am going to use it in order to make things much, much better for the people all around. So what becomes beyond your personal fortune becomes something that you are a steward for. and that you are decently self-responsible to helping your community with. But you don't do this yet. Do you know why? Because you're still in a world where there's a lot of ungenerous and very self-serving people, and you can't be enabling them. So hold your generosity. Don't deploy your generosity yet. Wait until everybody is heart-centered and telepathic. Then you can start sharing with others. Okay. You still have to have strong boundaries for right now. And Chris says, I also created the tray and warehousing system too. I'm freaking awesome. And this is from my packaging engineering logistics skill set. So I'm very, very happy, Chris. You've got your own envisionment of how to improve and focus human economy. And I think we all need to be making a contribution to this to determine what is the optimum way to do things. You're not going to have a bunch of evil, dark magicians and entitled people treating you like peasants anymore. That's positive. But now you must self-organize and determine how you as humans would like to live and how you would like to treat each other. And Aurelia says that would be great. Economics class with Chris. Okay, we're going to do an economics roundtable. We're going to do it. Oh, beautiful. Okay, great, Chris. Well, we'll set that up. We'll all do a roundtable about economics. Good idea about discussing that. We got positive stuff. Rima says, thank you very much. Great class. You're so welcome. And Mary Ellen says, have a good night. Enjoyed it. You're so welcome. Aurelia. Suzuka says, thank you. You're very welcome. And Chris says, this was an awesome class. Thank you so much, Aurora and Shiki too. You're very, very welcome. So again, my continued apologies. I always feel embarrassed when I can't deal with technology and then you guys see me at my worst. But I'm very glad that I was able to restabilize and come to a positive resolution of the curriculum here. So look, every time I do this, it's different every time. I'm very, very pleased that we completed another cycle of lessons for full spectrum humans. And people who are in this class know you never have to re-enroll. Consider it a lifetime membership. I'm so pleased and gratified when people want to stay on board. And I always try to keep the curriculum fresh and to say new things each time. So I re-emphasize the lessons that are important and then also come up with new stuff. Okay. So we're coming into the ending of this, but then next week, don't just be lazy and do nothing with your brain. No, you're going to work hard. Next week, we're starting Path of Light. So please hop on board and enroll in Path of Light if you haven't already done so. If you've already contributed and you're already a student in Path of Light, don't worry. I've got you on my email list. But if you're not in there yet, I totally encourage everyone as a cleansing of your palate. In Path of Light class, I do not have to talk about evil or assholes or bad stuff or anything like that. It really is very, very fun and uplifting. And I talk about the miracle of molecular reality and the stages of matter. I do some talk about science, but just to use the vocabulary, but really trying to give you a sense of the miracles that surround you all the time in the physical world. And I give real information about how you can master reality. So Flying Rainbow Lasagna, this is part of my abstraction of telling you, like, you're combining spirit and matter and you're combining these things. Path of Light, I give you like the actual mechanics of how you do this stuff. And I'm very, very excited to do it. So that's going to be like fun, uplifting stuff. Same bat time, same bat channel. And that's beginning next week. That runs for the next 4 weeks. And then we begin again with level 1, lesson 1. And that's going to be at the beginning of February for resuming this curriculum. If you're new to this curriculum, okay? So I'm sending out encouragement, gratitude. Everyone who's in this class is a good person. Everyone who's in this class, like, thank you for being good and for, efforting and for trying and for, trying to learn and trying to grow and go in the right direction. That is what is asked of you. So you're doing the right thing. And also, please know, I am going to break open the satellite grid around this planet, and you're going to have amazing amounts of really sustaining and restoring light come to you. So please remain strong, keep going. Know that you went through a lot of bad shit. Things are going to get a lot better very, very, very soon. Okay. And Amy says, so excited for Path of Light. Thank you. I'm also very excited to teach it. It's actually, I think, some of the best stuff that I have to give to humanity. Okay. So good. Everybody deserves restoration. Eat, drink, be merry, eat protein. Chica's going to get dinner. I'm going to take her outside. Everybody needs to do that. And you all deserve huge trophies and rewards. Throw your books and pencils in the air, run outside. You don't get summer break and we're back next week anyway, but have some little celebration. Okay. And thank you. My complete happiness and celebration to all of you for being wonderful students. And thank you so much for making this class what it is. Okay. Good. Have a beautiful night, everyone. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for a great semester.